Mark Burley bobblehead day, and Joe Madden saw too much of Mark Burley yesterday to his liking, but Burley's bobblehead, a very popular item here. And you can see Longoria in the back copying Mark Burley in his bobblehead. So this is the rubber game of this three-game series. It's time now to take a look at the lineup for Tampa Bay. Desmond Jennings, Ben Zobrist, Matt Joyce, and Evan Longoria. Then in the fifth spot, it's James Loney. He's 3 for 5 against Drew Hutchison. The Blue Jays started this afternoon. He's got a home run and driven in a pair, and then down in the ninth spot. The speedster, Kevin Kiermaier, is back in right field against the Blue Jays. They can't figure him out. He's 9 for 16. He had a pair of doubles here on Friday night. He's a hustler, and you always got to be aware that he's going to take the extra base anytime he's on the bases.
Drew Hutchison is making his 26th start of the season. He's lost 5 of his last 7 decisions, going over 8 games, pitching to an ERA over 7. He's making his 4th start against Tampa this season. Jays have won 2 of those. However, he has allowed 11 earned runs over 2 of the last starts against the Rays. Last time out for Hutchison did not go very well. It was at Chicago against the White Sox. He took the loss, giving up 6 earned runs in the first inning. Although he did go 7 innings, he hung in there, giving up 7 earned runs.
Defensively in the outfit, it's Cabrera, Rasmussen, Bautista. Melky Cabrera picked up his 10th assist in the game yesterday. Francisco's back at third base. Reyes and Kawasaki up in the middle. Then makes his 23rd start at first base. Yonder Navarro behind the plate for Drew Hutchison.
And Juan Francisco gets the start at third base today over Danny Valencia. Despite Francisco's offensive struggles, he'll get the nod against the right-hander, Chris Archer.
So it is a beautiful day. It's 21 degrees. The roof is wide open. It is a spectacular Sunday afternoon. And the Blue Jays need a win. They have split the first 2 games of this series against the Rays. Desmond Jennings will step in, the leadoff man. Jennings, very good leadoff hitter, takes a first pitch for a strike, and we are underway. Jennings is 3 for 10 in this series. He's driven in a run and scored a run. Breaking ball lifted to right. Bautista, shading his eyes from right sun, makes the catch. 1 up, 1 down. Drew Hutchison leans heavily on that fastball.
He has got a fastball command. If he has that, the other pitches work off of that. No matter what, though, he has to be down in the zone. The slider and changeup are good complements to that fastball. When he's good, he's commanding it to both sides of the plate, but he's got to work down in the zone. Got big trouble in Chicago last time up. When everything's elevated, it flattens out. Those are good hitting pitches, and he just could not get out of that long first inning.
Gave up a couple of home runs in that first inning. A 3-run shot and a 2-run homer. And there's a fly ball hit right. Bautista back at the track. It's over his glove, off the wall. Zobrist is headed for second. And he'll get there with a stand-up 1-out double. His 29th double of the season. Zobrist knows Hutchison. This is the 4th start Hutch has made against the Rays.
And there's that ball elevated in the zone. Hutchison has to get down. When stuff elevates for him, it flattens out, and that's just a fastball. Belt high out over the plate. Good hitters will get you on those. Hutchison's lucky that ball stayed in the park.
Bautista just couldn't make a play on it. It was above his glove, and Zobrist is at second. There's what the defenders will deal with today. That bright sun high above Rogers Center. Matt Joyce, the left fielder. Joyce entered the game as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning yesterday afternoon. Joe, you were a catcher. How do you make the adjustment for a pitcher to get him lower into the zone early in the game?
I think the big thing for Gianna Navarro right now is he's got to get low. That target, sometimes if you put that glove right above the dirt to get his sights set lower.
Change up, missed down in the dirt, 2-0.
A catcher will set his target. If you just rest your arm on your knee, that target's going to be about knee high to the hitter, to most hitters. But you've got to make an extra effort here for a pitcher that's really had trouble working down in the zone. And I know Drew, working in between starts with Pete Walker, will be doing the same, working on getting on top of the baseball.
2-0 to Joyce. Now 3-0. Evan Longoria is on deck, the cleanup hitter. Longoria in this series has gone 3 for 9. Green light. Joyce chased that high fastball. This might not be a good time to really push Matt Joyce. You got a base open. It's early. Just make a good pitch. Don't just try to throw a strike.
He's a guy that can hurt you if you just try to lay one in there. 3-1.
Changeup. Good call.
I think Gianna Navarro was thinking the same thing. Matt Joyce is not afraid to pick a spot, especially with a 3-1 fastball hitter's count right there. Perfect pitch by Hutchison, changing the speed.
Navarro contemplating his next move.
A lot of times if you throw it 3-1, you come back with it 3-2.
They're a breaking ball, and Joyce is able to foul it. All over the map in this at bat. It's been down. He's letting a couple pitches go up. That fourth pitch was the 3-0 fastball that Joyce chased. Missed badly all the way back to the backstop, and Zobrist will go to third. And that changes the complexion dramatically. Evan Longoria, in his first at bat on Friday, jumped on the first pitch from Marcus Stroman.
You cannot miss your spot against a good hitter, especially like Longoria. And, you know, he's a hitter that's had his struggles this year. Hitters that are doing that, they'll look for a certain pitch, and he did just that against Stroman. Not only the certain pitch in the fastball, but the location of it. Marcus missed his spot on the wrong side of the plate.
Well, Drew Hutchison is out here in this first inning trying to establish fastball, so you better be careful with this first pitch to Longoria.
And ball four right there was not a good indication for Drew. That arm slot is just not right. You see he really pulled that ball across his body. Pitcher doesn't have his feel for his delivery. He's going to be all over, and right now that's the case.
First pitch breaking ball.
Good call right there by Navarro. A slider or curveball is a good pitch because with the breaking ball, you've got to get that release point out front, which is where you want it for all of your pitches. Sometimes that's the pitch that will get you locked back in terms of that release point.
On the ground, Reyes is short. Second for one. Back to first. Not in time. Longoria hustling down the first baseline. Beats the return throw. Kawasaki didn't have a lot on the throw to first base, and Longoria is able to lay it out and pick up the RBI.
Well, it wasn't hit real hard. Jose Reyes fields this ball and gives Kawasaki a pretty good feed, but you see the hustle of Longoria. He knows if he beats this out, it's a run for his team. And you can just see the arc on that throw coming from second base. A good strong throw goes on a straight line to that first baseman. Kawasaki, being a second baseman, and just doesn't have that same arm strength other second basemen do.
Longoria picks up his 71st RBI. Tampa Bay has taken a 1-0 lead. We mentioned James Loney. He's 3 for 5 against Hutchison with a home run. He goes after the first pitch and rips it into right. Longoria stops at second. Drew Hutchison making his 4th appearance against Tampa Bay. His first 14 starts, he has respectable numbers. But the last 11, Joe, have been a totally different story.
Well, and I think you have to look at the fact that, first of all, he's a young kid coming off surgery in 2012. He only threw 35 innings last year. He's only thrown about 200 big league innings. This is a very young man still that's still trying to build strength and figure himself out. And I think he's quite frankly hitting that proverbial wall where the body just fatigues, seeing pitches elevated in the zone.
His 26th start of the season. He's pitched 144 innings coming into this start. Will Myers goes after the first pitch. He falls behind 0-1. .223 for the season. It's a piece of it and fouls it off. He's a free swinger. He's up there hacking. He's thinking more about what he can hit than what he has to take. Reasonably productive in these situations.
You know, to Drew Hutchison's credit, whenever I talk to him about that fatigue factor and perhaps getting late in the season, he denies it. He says, no, I feel great. But you really have to wonder.
Well, he's always going to tell you the positive. He is a guy that takes a lot of pride in his work ethic. He works hard to stay sharp. And, you know, it's reasonable to expect when you have a young pitcher in his first full season in the major leagues, he's going to pitch an extra month.
And that's what you want to hear from him. I love the answers whenever I ask Drew. He's just a competitive kid by nature, and you have to love that. He's got a very bright future. Just hopefully he can continue to move forward from this.
0-2. Well, that's a good pitch. Too close to take, that's for sure, but Hutch didn't get to call.
See, Deanna Navarro actually wanted this pitch elevated in the zone, wanted it high. He got it down. Looked like he may have caught that outside corner, but Milwaukee says nope, just off.
Good pitch down and in, and Myers fouls it off his leg. Will Myers missed 70 games with a fractured right wrist. He was not activated until this past Wednesday.
See that swing now. That's a pitch coming back inside after the fastball away, and that's what you have to do. One thing to move the ball in and out, change speeds back and forth, but that's a fastball off the plate away, and he came back with a fastball in, and it's off. And that swing by Myers was very defensive.
He checked his swing on that breaking ball. Desmond Jennings and Will Myers collided in the outfield on May 31st, and that's how he broke his right wrist. Young guy with a lot of upside for sure. Batting .240 against right-handed pitching. There's a good breaking ball. Hutchison ends the inning by striking out Will Myers, but Tampa Bay has taken a 1-0 lead. Evan Longoria with the RBI. The series, each team has won a game in this 3-game set. Jose Reyes will lead things off. He's got good numbers against Chris Archer. He's hitting .600 against Archer. A couple of RBIs and a couple of walks. He had the game winner in the 10th last night. And Adam Lind against Tampa Bay has hit well, 7 for 18 with a double, 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. And they need Lind's bat to pick up the pace a little bit as far as the long ball goes. They just need him to step up, and today he's got a right-hander on the mound, and he's put up big numbers against right-handed pitching.
Well, the 25-year-old Chris Archer is making his 26th start. He's got the 3rd hardest fastball in the American League behind Yordano Ventura of the Royals and Garrett Richards of the Angels. Last time out for Archer was against the Tigers. Did not factor in the decision, going 5 2/3 innings, giving up just 1 earned run. His changeup is a good one, and he may be using that more than ever against the 7 left-handed batters in this Detroit or in the Toronto lineup.
One thing he has done is he's kept the ball in the ballpark. He's allowed just 6 home runs this season. That doesn't bode well for the Blue Jays, who lean heavily on home runs to win games. Reyes takes the first pitch outside. Jose Reyes, we mentioned his numbers against Chris Archer. He's 6 for 10. There's a strike. Jose had a pair of hits in yesterday's game, including the game winner in the 10th. It came as a right-handed hitter against the lefty Jeff Beliveau. Pulled. Loney, a very good fielder at first, makes a strong throw to Archer. Reyes is retired. It's a very good defensive team, and it always has been under the guidance of Joe Maddon. Matt Joyce in left field, Desmond Jennings in center, and Kevin Kiermaier is in right. The infield includes the Gold Glover, Evan Longoria. He's got 2 Gold Gloves to his credit. Escobar and Zobrist up the middle. James Loney, a Gold Glove caliber first baseman, and Kurt Casale is behind the plate for the second time in this 3-game series.
Kevin Kiermaier is a 31st round pick in 2010 of the Rays. Is making only a second start here at Rogers Center on this artificial turf, so we'll see if that becomes a factor. Many outfielders from opposing teams can have issues with those looping singles, whether to come in and get them or watch those bounces over their heads.
Melky Cabrera, as he often does, takes the first pitch for a strike. Another fastball, and Archer's got a good fastball. When you look at the American League leaderboard, Melky Cabrera's name is splattered all over the sheet. 314, that's good for 5th in the American League. Here he strikes out on a good breaking ball. Curveball strikeout, and Archer, he too will lean heavily on the fastball, but he's got a couple of wicked pitches to go with that.
Well, he's got a very good fastball. We talked about 3rd in the American League velocity-wise, but it's the slider that is his devastating strikeout pitch. We just saw it right there against Cabrera. He'll use the changeup more so against left-handed batters, but his money pitch is putting hitters away is with that slider. But to complement the fastball, Jim Hickey says when his fastball command is on, just like it is for all pitchers, the other pitches work off of that.
Jose Bautista takes a ball on the fastball. Two outs. Bautista fouls it back. Archer is developing a changeup, and the pitching coach Jim Hickey that Joe mentioned says that when his changeup is right, it's right along the lines of Felix Hernandez. That's terrible news for the hitters.
All over the American League.
96 upstairs. 1-2.
It's one thing when your velocity is in the mid-90s like Archer's is, but when you have the devastating slider, that's a great 1-2 punch. Now you mix in a 3rd pitch that can neutralize especially left-handed batters. That's quite a repertoire for Archer.
There's that hard slider. It missed down and away. Archer won't turn 26 until the 19th of September. Another slider. This one was further outside. Adam Lind is on deck, and we talk about his great numbers against Tampa Bay. He'd like to come to the plate here in the first. Full count to Bautista. Bouncing ball, Escobar backhands. Strong arm in time. Quick inning for Chris Archer. 12 pitches, and he sets down the side in order.
on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the all-new 2015 Acura TLX. Experience the thrill today at your local Acura dealer. And by Home Hardware, homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Summer is winding down in southern Ontario, and in Toronto it's a beautiful afternoon. You just have to wonder how many more of these great weekends are we going to have, because it has been a terrific summer here in Toronto. It'll be 7-8-9 for Tampa Bay. They have a 1-0 lead. Yunel Escobar goes after the first pitch and skies it to shallow left. Melky Cabrera had a long run. He gets there, and Escobar's retired. Drew Hutchison again giving up a first inning run. Last time out, he gave up 6 first inning runs to the White Sox, including a 3-run home run and a 2-run homer in that first inning in Chicago.
Spoke to Drew the next day, and he was just so frustrated he couldn't make one pitch to get out of that inning. He felt good the rest of the way, and he just thinks of how that day really could have and should have gone. But really frustrating for a pitcher with 2 outs that you just cannot make that one pitch to get you out of it.
In that first inning in Chicago, he gave up a 3-run home run to Connor Gillespie, and then a 2-run home run to Jordan Danks before he struck out Adrian Nieto, the catcher. 9 Sox hit in the first. Joe, that's not unusual for a pitcher, even an experienced pitcher, to have first inning problems, but how might you address getting over the hump for a Drew Hutchison?
Well, sometimes it can go all the way back to your warm-up in the bullpen. Perhaps the way he warms up, whatever the routine is, maybe you want to throw a few more pitches, maybe fewer pitches, whatever it might be. That's something that's a feel thing, and for each individual pitcher that's differently, but in some sense you have to change it up.
Casale fouls it off his foot.
I've caught pitchers in the past that have had that issue, and they did exactly that. They threw an extra 10 or 12 pitches in the bullpen just to make sure they've ironed out all those wrinkles. So you're almost simulating that you're taking the mound in the game for that second inning where you've had success.
It's exactly what we did with Jim Clancy back in the 80s. We would sit him down like he'd already pitched the first inning, then get him back up, throw 8 pitches, and go into the ballgame. There's another good slider. That's a good slider there. Better depth on that breaking ball, and Hutchison records his second strikeout.
That's where Drew Hutchison wants to be with his slider, and you can see him this time able to get on top of the ball more. And when you get on top of the baseball and get more impart downward spin on that ball, that's late breaking action, and that's as a hitter, that ball's looking like it's right in the zone, and then it just dives down and away at the last second.
Number 9 hitter is Kevin Kiermaier. You got to keep your eye on Kiermaier. He will bunt. Not showing bunt here, and slaps it past Francisco. That's going to be extra bases for sure. Kiermaier, I tell you what, he's got 3 doubles in this series, and they're all hustle doubles. He had a ground ball double on Friday night, a boop double on Friday night, and here he gets one off the end of the bat past Francisco for his 3rd double of the series, his 13th of the season.
And that's why hitters like Kiermaier have to have the bunt for a base hit in their arsenal, because now the third baseman Francisco's playing very shallow, coming in to honor that bunt. What does Kiermaier do? He slaps it right by him.
Wouldn't you like to see Anthony Gose have that stroke?
Absolutely. When you bunt for a base hit, the defense has to honor that. Anthony likes to take it with him, but you incorporate that bunt to third base as well. Bring that guy in, you slap it by him. A lot of extra hits there.
Back to the top of the order, Desmond Jennings takes the first pitch strike. Jennings flied out to right field in the first.
When you have speed like those 2 guys we just mentioned, Kiermaier and then Anthony Gose of the Blue Jays, you have to utilize that. And the way you do it is by bringing those infielders in on occasion.
2 outs. Tampa Bay leads it 1-0. He didn't want to, but he went around. Looked like he had another pitch on his mind. Desmond Jennings with a half-hearted swing.
Talk about hitters looking for pitches sometimes and getting it, and they can do some damage, but other times they'll look for a pitch, not get it, and they'll look pretty bad. But as a hitter, you're just glad you actually swung and missed rather than put that ball in play.
Big strikeout. Jennings strikes out with a runner in scoring position. A couple of strikeouts in the second. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Lynn, Encarnacion, and Navarro when we come back. by Transitions Adaptive Lenses. Transition lenses automatically filter just the right amount of light. Experience life well lived. And today's subject of our bio is the pitcher, Chris Archer, 25 years old. He was born in Raleigh. He grew up in a small town just outside of Raleigh called Clayton. And his hobbies, he loves to read, and there's his Twitter account. A very interesting young man.
Yes, he is. Chris Archer, also very involved in the community, both at home in North Carolina and in Tampa. And this is a guy that he would like to replace David Price. He's a competitor, and he wants to be that guy in this rotation.
Mark Burley bobblehead day, as there are a lot of fans on hand. They were able to pick up their bobblehead as they came in. Chris Archer loves to compete, and he has really worked hard to refine his pitches. He was originally drafted by the Cleveland Indians in 2006. Jumps ahead with a fastball. It's now 1-1. Archer dropped to the 5th round in that draft in 2006 because he'd signed the letter of intent with the University of Miami. You can see physically, I mean, he's the kind of body you want to see from a pitcher. Long and lean, long arms, and great leverage.
Talk about that nice lean body on a pitcher, creating a lot of arm whip. Think of like a Pedro Martinez, not a very big guy, but lean and can get that arm through.
Lynn drives it down the left field line. That'll go into the corner. Lind is headed for second, and he'll get there. They mentioned his good run against Tampa Bay this season. That's his 8th hit against the Rays. A leadoff double in the second.
That's that left-handed bat the Blue Jays have been missing. Adam Lind just getting back going now, and this is a 2-1 fastball. You see the ball gets deep on him, but that's a result of a good swing path. Good fastball by Archer. Gets deep in his stance, but it's that swing plane. Get that bat on plane early. Even if the ball beats you, you can still shoot that ball to left field.
For Lynn, that's his 17th double of the season. He came into this game batting .359 against right-handed pitching. He continues to wear them out. Edwin Encarnacion into the 5th spot in the order. He goes after the first pitch and drives it to left, but that's going to hang up for Matt Joyce. A line drive to left. 1 down. So here is Deanna Navarro. We mentioned Navarro with the big home run yesterday. That was in the 7th inning. That gave the Blue Jays a 4-3 lead. It also gave Navarro a new career high in RBIs at 55.
DeAndre's come up with some very big hits for the Blue Jays. Big Mr. Clutch, and he did it again yesterday.
He goes after the first pitch. That's a deep fly ball to center. Lind was halfway. He goes back. He's got plenty of time to advance as a couple of line drives are caught after the leadoff double. Jennings really kind of got surprised by how well that ball carried. It carried all the way to the warning track in center.
Well, it's not as important with 1 out to get to third base, because if the outfielder catches the ball, there's 2 outs and you're still in scoring position, and that's why Adam Lind wants to make sure with 1 out that he's going to score if this ball does land over the head. It's deep enough that once the catch is made, he's still got time to get to the base and advance the 93 feet. It's the right thing to do by Adam Lind.
Colby Rasmus with Longoria guarding against the bunt. Of course, they saw that in the 10th inning yesterday. He cuts on the first pitch. Rasmus facing Joel Peralta. At that time, he was 0 for 10 with 7 strikeouts. He fell behind with 2 strikes and figured, you know what have I got to lose?
Sometimes you just feel like you do not have a chance against a specific pitcher, and Colby has not had success against Peralta.
Colby dropped down a beautiful bunt. He would eventually steal second on the Kawasaki strikeout and scored the winning run on Reyes' base hit to left.
See, Colby struggles with runners in scoring position. Just had difficulties picking up that big hit at a big time. And he did the unthinkable. How often do you think a hitter is going to drop a bunt down? Look at the open left side. Now, I believe Colby's trying to push this ball hard towards third. He actually deadened it, which is like a perfect bunt for a base hit. It worked out well with all that space over there, though. You don't have to be as fine with that big shift on. Push that ball hard towards third base to guarantee yourself the knock. But he got it anyway.
He went around. Rasmus strikes out with a runner at third base. Archer uses that breaking ball again. A couple of strikeouts for Archer. We'll go to the third. 1-0 Rays. It's a 1-1 series record so far. When you look at Blue Jays over their last 5 seasons in rubber games and 3-game series, they haven't fared very well. 7-11-10, 9-13, 5-5, 7-9, and 5-10. Overall, a 33-48 record. If you're going to be a contending ball club, you got to figure out a way how to win the series, and that's how you advance to the postseason. Over that same time frame, Tampa Bay, who has been to the postseason several times recently, has gone 53-45 in decisive games of a 3-game series. So there's the difference. And if you reverse the Blue Jays numbers this year, instead of 5-10, you put them 10-5, they're right in the middle of the playoff hunt.
Absolutely. The decisive game in a series. We talk about taking 2 out of 3 every series. You do that all year, you're going to be where you want to be at the end of the season. If you cannot win the series on the final day like today, you're going to have your struggles competing in that race at the end of the season.
And that gets back to the old argument, Joe, about the will to win. And you have to have that burning desire to put everything on the line every single day and know that you don't know when your next opportunity is going to come with a chance to win a series.
And it has to be a collective will right through the lineup, right through the roster. These guys have to know going in today that they have to do everything they can. Hutchison has to start it right on the mound to win the series.
There's a good pitch down in the zone.
Especially when you're the team chasing. The Blue Jays are in a position right now where they cannot afford any losses. Of course, they're going to lose games down the stretch, but every game is so huge now with fewer remaining on the schedule.
This is popped up on the infield. Francisco, the third baseman, calls for it. He makes the catch. 1 down.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the all-new 2015 Acura TLX. Experience the thrill today at your local Acura dealer.
Matt Joyce, the left fielder. That's with 1 out. Well, all of a sudden, Hutchison's got depth on his slider. He's got his hand on top of the pitch now.
He's got a little feel for the ball, and it's a feel pitch. You have to get that thing out there. The release point's got to be out front and really get downward spin on the ball.
And ball is bounced past Kawasaki into right. Bautista throws back behind the runner, but Joyce is back easily. His first hit of the afternoon. Matt Joyce, his third hit against Hutchison. He is now 3 for 8 against the Jays right-hander. Evan Longoria picked up the RBI on a fielder's choice.
This is an area, too, where Hutchison has to get better at holding runners on. He's had some stolen bases against him where guys just get great jumps. As a pitcher, you have to change up your holds, change the time of them, throw over once in a while, but most importantly, when you lift that leg to deliver the ball to the plate, got to be fairly efficient.
Down in the dirt. Grabbed by Navarro. You're exactly right about that, and I think that is a big concern and something that every starting pitcher has to take care of. But what you run into with young pitchers is you're thinking about, well, I got to throw a strike, I got to make a good pitch, and I want to get the hitter out, and now you want me to worry about the runner too? Lots of things going on. There's a fly ball hit into center. Rasmus backs up. Joyce is going back to tag. Rasmus once again just heaves it in toward the infield. Colby with no thought whatsoever of Matt Joyce tagging up on it, and Joyce advances to second base. Boy, as soon as he saw that was going to be a routine out, Matt Joyce went right back to first and tagged up.
Well, there should be a bunch of blue jerseys on that field yelling, tag, tag, tag. Now, Colby is a center fielder. When you back up to the wall at the 400-foot mark, you have to anticipate this. It doesn't matter who's on first base. You know it's Matt Joyce that can run. You see Kawasaki with his arm signaling, but you need to be yelling, tag, tag, tag.
Joyce alertly recognized it was going to be a fly ball out to center, and he gets himself into scoring position. Tampa Bay takes advantage of every opportunity you extend.
And again, that's a twofold problem. Number one, Colby has to know that if you're a center fielder and you're backed up to the wall, you got to know a runner is going to be tagging on that. He should be catching that ball and firing it in immediately.
2 outs. Loney hits the ground ball. Kawasaki backhands, takes his time. Loney's with time to leave a runner. It's a 1-0 game going to the bottom of the third. Juan Francisco, Kawasaki, and then Reyes when we come back. Today, they salute Captain Bob Kennedy. He joined the Canadian Army way back in 1988, and now Captain Kennedy is on the verge of retirement. His last day in the Army is tomorrow, and his 60th birthday is on Tuesday. Happy birthday, Captain Kennedy. Enjoy your well-deserved retirement, and we thank you for all your time and efforts. Mark Burley, as he often does, is out to present Captain Kennedy with his jersey with his name on the back. Well, what a great feeling. He'll step away from a terrific career in the military on Monday and celebrate his 60th birthday. Juan Francisco will start things off. It'll be 8-9-1 for the Blue Jays. They're down by a run. .218 for the season for Francisco. 16 home runs. Lays off that high pitch. He's going to get a fastball against Archer. Archer throws a lot of fastball. He's got a lot of confidence in that pitch. Been a struggle for Francisco. 3 for his last 43 with 15 strikeouts.
Chris Archer has a good fastball, and most pitchers that have good fastballs, they like to show it. They're going to use it. And this is a good matchup for a Juan Francisco, a dead red fastball hitter.
That might have been a changeup there. It just kind of backed up off the plate. It's 3-1. Does Francisco sell out looking for the fastball here?
I think you have to. You look for the fastball right here. If I'm Chris Archer, I'm challenging him.
He got the fastball, but didn't extend on it. Kiermaier and Jennings had their signals crossed, but Jennings makes the catch. Chris Archer has been on quite a run of late. His last 6 starts, his numbers are impressive. Opponents hitting just .229. He's averaging 9.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, and 2 starts ago against the Texas Rangers, he struck out 12 in 7 innings.
And it all starts with fastball command. Chris Archer's gotten better with that. When he has his good fastball command, because of that high velocity fastball, it makes those secondary pitches even better. Talk about the slider being a good put away pitch, but it all starts with that fastball.
Kawasaki takes a first pitch strike. In that 12 strikeout effort, Chris Archer struck out 6 in a row at one point. He struck out Alex Rios to end the bottom of the first, and then struck out Leonis Martin, Robinson Chirinos, Jim Aducci, Rougned Odor, and Shin-Soo Choo. 6 in a row. It's a wicked breaking ball, gets away from Casali.
And Archer walked 5 his last time out against the Tigers, but he only went 5 2/3 innings, throwing 107 pitches. Not one of his best efforts, but you look at the previous games before that, not too many walks, and when that fastball command is there, he's around the strike zone with all of his pitches.
That 5-walk total was the 3rd time he had issued 5 walks this season. 1-2. Breaking ball, slapped to left field. Kawasaki got the breaking ball. A 1-out base hit.
Save during the homeowner sale only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
If you can't be at the ballpark, I guess the next best place to be would be out on the lake, either in a sailboat or a motorboat, enjoying a beautiful afternoon. Jose Reyes grounded out to the first baseman his first time up. Goes after the first pitch. Zobrist to Escobar, and that's all going to get. 2 down. Melky Cabrera, we mentioned his great season. He's all over the leaderboard, and if you look at his numbers in the second half, it's impressive, and a couple of his teammates have joined him.
Well, and that's what you need. You need the top of your lineup performing, and it starts with Reyes, Melky right behind him, Deonner down a little lower in that lineup, but he's really been contributing. And you need your big boys to do that if you're going to do anything to muster any offense and any production. Look for Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. Adam Lind up there now too since his return from the disabled list. This offense has to click. The Blue Jays do not have frontline type starting pitching to just shut teams down.
Cabrera struck out on a slider his first time up. Goes after the first pitch and bounces it to second. Big up for Zobrist. Cabrera is retired on 1 pitch. The Blue Jays get a single and leave a base runner. We'll go to the 4th. It's 1-0 Tampa Bay. around a breaking ball and staying on top of a breaking ball. Now we're going to explain exactly what we mean by it.
Well, exactly. And you look at the picture on the left, you see his fingertips are on the side of the baseball. On the right, they're on the side, but they're getting a little bit more to the top of the baseball. You can see the flex in his fingertips at the top. The left one's going to be a hanging breaking ball where he got on the side or underneath the baseball. It just spins and stays up in the zone. The one on the right, we talked about those fingertips really grasping the seams and getting a good grip, being able to impart that downward spin. And it all starts with that grip with those two first fingers on the right hand. Good breaking ball down and away.
It's really interesting that they both resulted in a strikeout, but the one he threw to Will Myers is not one you want to throw very often.
That's one where you get lucky, and pitchers do get lucky sometimes. They hang a pitch, and the hitter does not take advantage of it.
Will Myers here is the hitter that struck out on that hanging breaking ball. Myers kind of a throwback in that he doesn't hit with batting gloves. We have talked about that with him in the past, and he said he tried it in high school, just didn't feel comfortable. So I like the feel of the bat in my hands. And of course his mentor in Kansas City when he was coming through their minor leagues was George Brett, and of course Brett never used hitting gloves throughout his entire career, but obviously Myers had established that habit before he ever met Brett.
You ever go no batting gloves, Buck?
What's that?
You ever go without batting gloves?
No, but they certainly were batting gloves for me and not hitting gloves.
That puts me right out of it then.
A lot of people did. Huck Harrison is credited with the first use of the golf glove at the time. He was a terrific golfer, and he thought it'd be a good idea to wear golf gloves while he hit. Francisco's got a strong arm. He makes a good play on Myers for the first out here in the fourth. But now most everybody wears at least one glove. Most guys wear two gloves.
Most of them are getting paid to wear them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is a business now.
Escobar hearing it from the crowd. Of course, Escobar played here for the Blue Jays, and parts of 2010 he came over here in a deal with Atlanta. He spent his time all the way through the 2012 season. Hit 272, very respectable numbers over his career as a Blue Jay. He came to the Jays in a deal with the Atlanta Braves on July 14, 2010. He came over with JoJo Reyes, the left-handed pitcher, for Alex Gonzalez, Tim Collins, and Tyler Pastornicki. Nice play by Francisco, and he's got the arm to back it up. Francisco has not been a liability defensively at third. That was the original thought when he came over to the Blue Jays, but he's handled himself well at third base.
Well, he gets his feet in a good position, as infielders need to do. Good set position on the balls of your feet as that pitch arrives at home plate. It gives a good jump. He got a tough hop right there, and when you're at third base, there's not a whole lot of time for you to react to that baseball, so you've almost got to take the hop that you're getting. That was a tough one. He was able to come up with it. That's the #1 goal. If he can glove it, he knows he's got the arm to fire it across the infield.
Kurt Casale struck out his first time up. Casale's done a nice job filling in for Ryan Hannigan, who is injured. He does a good job behind the plate. He's had his problems at the plate. He's cut all 4 games started by Drew Smyly, and he's done a good job with Smyly. 0-2 upstairs.
Talked about that the other night. Pitching coach Jim Hickey talking about how Casale is very good at executing the game plan. Of course, they have pitchers and catchers meetings before every series to go over opposing hitters, all of their strengths and weaknesses, and the plan of attack.
2-2. Drew Hutchison gave up a first inning run on a couple of hits and a walk. Strike 3. Umpire at first base. James Hoy rings up Casale. Another strikeout for Hutchison. 4 so far. It'll be Jose Bautista leading things off, then Adam Lind, who has doubled so far, and Edwin Encarnacion. Meet of the order for the Jays coming up. comfort zone, our guests of TD. Welcome to the ballpark on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon, while over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse, our guests of Mark Burley's from Positively Pets Kids Camp. Mark Burley's got some guests in the park, and he certainly has great thoughts about pets. It's a Mark Burley bobblehead day, so he's got some guests here in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse. What do you think of the bobblehead? Pretty good depiction?
Mark Burley? Well, he's left-handed. He's got that little scruff working. He's good at that.
Well, the Blue Jays have done a great job with their promotional giveaways, and today it was the Mark Burley bobblehead giveaway. And you can see the crowds lining up before the gates open to pick up their Mark Burley bobbleheads, and another good crowd on hand as the Blue Jays are wrapping up this series with Tampa Bay. 37,451 here yesterday afternoon. A sea of blue here at Rogers Center. As Archer drops that breaking ball in there to even the count at a ball and a strike.
Good hitters get pitched differently, and that's what we're really seeing from Bautista these last couple of weeks. He is getting different pitches and different counts. Pitchers pitching backwards a lot to him.
Well, certainly you could really freewheel it with Encarnacion and Lind out of the lineup, and you really didn't have to pitch to Bautista. And Jose did a great job of not losing his patience and chasing bad pitches. Hits this ball to third. Longoria gobbles it up. One down. Evan Longoria, two-time Gold Glover at third. He won Gold Gloves in 2009 and 2010. Adam Lind doubled his first time up. He was stranded at third when Kobe Erasmus struck out.
Pitchers that pitch backwards can have a lot of success, and that means it's a fastball count, maybe 2-1. If you can throw an off-speed pitch in those counts, it's going to be very difficult for hitters to square things up. But it's all about command, and if you have the ability as a pitcher to throw all of your pitches for strikes, you can do it in any count. That's really going to benefit you.
It's a little flare down the left side. That's going to drop in foul ground and bounce out of play. Lind had an opposite field double his first time up. Lind missed 28 games with that broken foot. Fouled the ball off his foot, and he was placed on the DL on the 8th of July. Wasn't activated until the 11th of August. There's a drive to left field. Matt Joyce has room. 2 down. Chris Archer, we mentioned he signed originally with the Cleveland Indians. He was traded from Cleveland to the Cubs December 31st, 2008 for Mark DeRosa, former Blue Jay utility man, very popular player here. But DeRosa was acquired by the Indians in exchange for Chris Archer, Jeff Stevens, and John Garb. He was just one of those guys that everybody wanted, and he's been traded twice in his young career. Inside, 96. Archer came to the Rays on January 9, 2011 in the Matt Garza deal. Matt Garza, Fernando Perez, and Zach Roskup went to the Cubs in exchange for Chris Archer. This is popped back out of play over near the Blue Jays dugout, and it's in the dugout out of play. But the Cubs gave up Archer, Brandon Guyer, shortstop Hawk Julie, catcher Robinson Chirinos, and Sam Polk Tampa Bay got quite a haul in that trade for Matt Garza, who they were going to lose to free agency.
That's right. That's the time to do it. If you're going to lose a player to free agency, why not, before that happens, get something back in return? That's just very smart on the Rays' part.
Jose Reyes, of course, came to the Blue Jays from the Miami Marlins for a boatload of prospects. This has popped up. This ball is playable, but nobody's going to get to it. The pitcher, Archer, got closest to it, but he didn't have a chance to make a catch. Of course, you don't play Edwin Encarnacion in foul ground.
Well, James Loney had a long ways to go. I don't think Kirk Casale saw it right away, but how about Chris Archer? He's saying, I'm going to help myself a little bit right here. You don't see that a whole lot, but what you see is a great athlete there.
That's probably the last thing Joe Madden wants to see.
This is a nice move by Kirk Casale right here, the catcher, going out and having a chat at the mound, and all this is right here is to give him a breather. He just ran about a 60-yard sprint over to that dugout. Give him a second to catch his breath. Catchers will do that sometimes when a pitcher has to go cover first base on a ground ball to the first baseman. Good move by Casale, allowing his pitcher to catch his breath.
Dave Martinez, the bench coach, obviously having some fun with that last play, but you'll remember, having exerted yourself on a particular play, you'll see white stars for a long time until you catch your breath. 1-2, another foul. This one bounced up the left side.
You just don't see that out of many pitchers. Most pitchers won't even go after that ball. They'll just stay on the mound and leave it to their catcher and first baseman. I think Archer identified right away, if I can get to it, I will. Diving headlong in front of his dugout. It speaks to his competitive nature.
Tried to overthrow that fastball. He threw it 97, but it wasn't in a good spot. Pitch number 6 bounced on the plate. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Tampa Bay has a 1-0 lead. Raised his sights a bit, but it's still low. Full count. Navarro is on deck. The Rays had their streak of 19 straight games on the road, allowing 3 runs or less, snapped yesterday. Another foul back. Rays gave up 5 runs in that extra inning loss, 5-4, but they had quite a run on the road going all the way back to the 4th of July. Reyes snapped that streak. They were 19-4 going into that game yesterday, and over 19 games they were 15-4. Good road record. Quite a battle going on between Archer and Encarnacion. Edwin just can't quite square it up.
It's a good job by a hitter continuing to battle, but an extra good job by the pitcher Archer continuing to pound the strike zone. And we're just seeing Edwin maybe not quite having that timing back just yet. Coming back from that disabled list stint, when you're off for that long, very difficult to get that timing back. He's going to need to see big league pitching for some time before he comes back.
Just a fraction off in his timing. This is a 10-pitch at bat. Archer's only thrown 51 pitches, and Encarnacion is ratcheting up that pitch count. This one's playable. Loney, the first baseman, calls for it and makes the catch. The inning is over. We'll go to the 5th. Tampa Bay with a 1-0 lead. It's time now for a Blue Jays Central update. It's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. selling tequila. Have a story with Jose Cuervo.
And what a pitcher has to do with his breaking ball is really think of getting on top of the baseball, and you do that with your fingers. You can see the fingertips of Hutchison there. That's at the end, being able to get on top of that seam to really impart that downward spin. It's late breaking action, and what that does for a hitter, it looks like a strike until it enters that hitting zone. Go to swing at it and just unable to hold up right there because of that late action.
It's a 1-0 game as the Rays are set to bat in the 5th. Kevin Kiermaier, the right fielder. He slapped a double past the third baseman Juan Francisco in the 2nd inning, but he was stranded. Kiermaier now has 10 hits in 17 at bats against the Blue Jays. Time to go back to the drawing board. Joe, oftentimes that'll happen with a guy down in the order. You'll just kind of gloss over the scouting report, take it for granted he's not going to get any hits, and all of a sudden you got to go back and have a meeting about him. Kawasaki knows he can run, so he unloads in a hurry. 1 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Beautiful shot of the CN Tower, a little time-lapse photography. It's very moist around here, lots of fog, lots of clouds. It's kind of cool to watch those clouds sail by CN Tower. Milwaukee extending the courtesy we see an awful lot of umpires do when a catcher gets rocked by that foul tip. They help out one another.
Take care of each other. Deanna wore that one right there. You see this foul tip going. We're seeing it more and more in baseball too. Right off the mask, and it catches the side of it, so it flips that mask. But let me tell you, his face took the brunt of that blow.
A lot of controversy about those catcher's masks, whether or not the hockey style mask gives you more protection over the conventional mask. Look out. That breaking ball is whistled right back over Hutchison into center. Jennings is aboard. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. How about that? Seattle's really playing good baseball, and the Red Sox are struggling to win a game.
Well, Seattle has all the pitching a team can ask for, the rotation and the bullpen. They had trouble scoring runs early in the season, but they're starting to swing the bats now. They can really make a run.
Seattle has 70 wins. They trail the Angels and the A's, who are tied atop the AL West by 6 games. Seattle's won the last 2. They've won 7 of their last 10. Seattle's going to make a run before this is all said and done for the lead in the AL West. Seattle will be here in the second to last series of the season late in September. Play 4 games here at Rogers Center. The Orioles will follow them into town for a weekend season-ending series to wrap up the 14 season for the Blue Jays right here at Rogers Center. Ben Zobrist has doubled and popped out. Hit a first pitch for a double in the first inning. Hit it over Bautista's head off the wall and right. Out in front of that pitch and hooks it foul. One nothing game. Drew Hutchison gave up a run in the first and has settled down.
Desmond Jennings has 15 bases, stolen bases on this season. Not a real big league for a base stealer, especially against somebody like Hutchison that is a little slower to the plate.
Jennings doesn't look like he's very comfortable with Hutchison on the mound, as if he's not really reading him well. Jennings has terrific skills. He can run well. He's got power, but I don't think he's really gotten comfortable as a base stealer. There he's got the jump, and Navarro catches ball 4. So Zobrist is aboard with the walk. That's the second walk issued by Hutchison. Matt Joyce has been on base twice with a walk and a single. Third time through the order for Tampa Bay. First pitch changeup.
That's a great pitch right there by Hutchison, and this is the time of the ball game where Drew has to really step up and get through this and make a pitch to limit the damage this inning. 2 on with just the 1 out here, but he's got to keep this a 1-0 ball game. The Blue Jays have everything they can handle, and Chris Archer today can't expect big offensive production. Drew's got to keep his team in the ball game right here.
This is why I think being a starting pitcher, and a successful starting pitcher, is the toughest job in baseball. You have to be athletic, obviously, to stand up to the rigors of 115, 120 pitches, but you also have to be a baseball player to make adjustments during the course of your outing. You can't just go out there and do the same thing 3 or 4 different times through the lineup. You've got to be aware of what they have done in their previous at-bats and make adjustments accordingly.
And of course, all the while you're tinkering with your delivery. Drew's worked a lot on different things that have affected his delivery to continue to try to improve it where it's a repeatable delivery.
He jams Joyce and popped up, but it's out of play.
Pitchers aim to repeat their delivery. They practice in the bullpen between starts and allow them to get all 3 pitches and be able to throw them consistently, and that's what happens throughout the course of a game. You get a couple runners on, and we talked about it earlier, starting to hold a runner on first base now. That's a whole different facet of the game for a pitcher. Fielding your position is another one. So pitching isn't just being on the mound and throwing the ball over the plate. There's a lot going on, especially for a young pitcher like Hutchison. A lot of adjustments he needs to make here at a very young age in this early point in his major league career.
Down and in. Tampa Bay has grounded into 111 double plays. Only the Boston Red Sox have hit into more double plays. Kansas City has also hit into 111, but Drew Hutchison needs something down in the zone to get a ground ball. Full count, 1 out. Jennings at second, Zobrist at first. They're not running. Pulled foul.
These are the experiences right here that help a young pitcher. And this will help Drew into the future. He'd like to take care of things in the present.
Ground ball. Kawasaki to Reyes. Return throw. In time. Lynn with a nice dig at first base. And here comes Joe Madden. This is the requisite visit by the manager on a bang-bang play at first. Madden now, and we talked about this exact situation earlier this morning as you look at the double play.
What an outstanding job all around. Munenori gets this ball to Reyes as quickly as he can. He's being taken out at second base, but because of the arm strength by Reyes, he can still get a pretty good throw over there. But most importantly, Adam Lynn did everything right, reaching out, stretching out, going towards the baseball, but that foot looks like it may be on the bag. We may see this thing turned over.
Joe Madden was talking about how this takes away the animosity, and they're going to review it. So Bob Davison, who is at second base this afternoon, is the crew chief. So he will join with James Boyd, first base umpire who made the call. They'll go under the headset, and this play is under review. Of course, we had the review yesterday that led to Madden's protest. Joe Madden told us earlier this morning that he felt like he was not going to be able to protest that review. He said, people have told me. Now they've got a quick decision here, at first base. Let's see what Bob Davison says, and they call him safe. So they overturned the call on the field. The Blue Jays are going to have to come back on defense. Lind and Reyes both doing everything they could, but you can see the ball is not in the glove when that foot comes down on the bag there.
Yeah, it was an excellent job all around. Kawasaki did what he could, got the ball to Reyes. He flipped it, and a great pick out of the dirt from Adam Lind. Most importantly, Drew Hutchison makes a key pitch at a key time. Unfortunately, his work's not done.
So now emotionally, Hutchison has to ramp it back up. He was over in the dugout thinking, okay, I got out of the inning. Now he's got to deal with the cleanup hitter and the bases loaded.
And we talk about pitching involving a lot of other factors, other facets of the game. There's another one. You think you just made an outstanding pitch for an inning-ending double play. Now he finds himself back on the mound. He's going to have to make another one.
I say bases loaded, of course. It's first and third with 2 outs, and Longoria will bat. Longoria has the only RBI of the afternoon, and an RBI on a fielder's choice in the first. Swing as Longoria guessed fastball, but he chased a high pitch.
And that's when a hitter is looking for a pitch and gets it. We talked about it earlier. He could not hold up, even though that fastball was elevated way out of the zone. There's Deanna's calling for the fastball up again. You see those fingers pointing up. He's going to try to elevate, get him to chase again.
And he did. So Drew Hutchison walks off the mound for a second time this inning. This time it's the strikeout. We're going to the bottom of the 5th. Navarro will start things off. The Jays trail 1-0. Of the season. He's had a bounce back season. He's hitting .287. Of course, Abreu is leading the world in RBIs. He picked up an RBI yesterday. Chris Capuano on the mound for the Yankees. Chris Sale, as Jamie mentioned, has 5 strikeouts through 4 innings. It is Mark Buehrle bobblehead day. And another good crowd on hand, and Blue Jays need to get something going against Chris Archer. It's a 1-0 game. The only run of the game scored in the top half of the first inning. Navarro with the 2-run home run in the 7th. His 10th home run of the season. That's just 3 off his career high. He had 13 last year for the Cubs. Navarro collapsed in a heap at home plate. He found that ball off his foot. Deanna has been just exactly what the Blue Jays would hope. They haven't played him every day, as he hasn't played every day for quite a while, going back to 2009. So they have kept him relatively fresh. As far as the number of innings, he's caught 690 innings coming into this game.
Fastball on the inner half of the plate. He just catches the outside of the baseball. And he's going to feel that one. That's still hurting.
1-1 pitch. Fouled it back. Navarro caught 100 games. He started 100 games, 3 straight seasons for Tampa Bay in 2007, 2008, and 2009. The only seasons in which he has been an everyday catcher.
John Gibbons talked about that early in the season too, and protecting him by not overplaying him, just because he has not been an everyday guy for quite some time.
Last year in part-time duty with the Cubs, he started 53 games. Today, this is his 79th start.
And he's an offensive type catcher. Josh Tolley really only catching most times when R.A. Dickey's pitching, as opposed to any other time throughout the rotation. But as a player that you want to be careful with giving them that workload, is you don't want to see the offensive numbers come down.
Overall, the Blue Jays have used 3 catchers over the course of this season. Eric Kratz made 18 starts while he was here with the Blue Jays. He's since been dealt to Kansas City. Tolley's made 33 starts in total, and now Deanna Navarro, this is his 79th start of the season.
A very solid offensive player behind the plate, and it's one worry is that when a catcher gets overworked back there, it's the offense that would suffer. When that fatigue sets in, it's the legs. You feel it in the bottom half, and of course hitters use their bottom half greatly. It's very important to a good swing. So if any fatigue sets in, and this is the time of year that can happen, so that'll be something that John Gibbons keeps an eye on in Navarro. So far so good. He's been swinging the bat very well and been a very big clutch performer.
Especially in the second half of the season, he's really stepped up his hitting. There's another sinking line drive. That's going to get down in front of Kiermaier. Navarro with a base hit to start the 5th.
Save during the homeowner sale only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Well, Joe Maddon's still a little uncertain with what's going to go on with that protest from yesterday. He heard from Joe Torre earlier today, and then he heard again later an update. So very interesting to see which direction Major League Baseball is going to go with this.
When I first met with Joe Maddon this morning, he thought that it was a very slim possibility that the protest would be upheld. This just popped into the seats. He felt like, and he had heard from different sources, that that particular aspect of that rule was one that you couldn't protest. Bob Davidson, the crew chief, made an interpretation of the rule that suggests the umpires have the final say as to what is a timely appeal by the manager, John Gibbons. And then before the game, he got a call from Joe Torre, who is the administrator of all of these on-field issues. And Maddon was encouraged that Joe Torre listened to Joe Maddon's perspective as a manager, saying the rule states once a pitcher is on the rubber and the batter's in the box, that previous play is over. And so that's what Joe Maddon is going to argue in his protest, and baseball will hear it probably very quickly. I think the game is still in question. Colby Erasmus behind 1-2. Colby struck out his first time up. The Blue Jays won the game in extra innings 5-4 yesterday. The protest was lodged in the 4th inning, with the Blue Jays leading 2-1 at that time. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Cut on and missed the runner at first. Rasmus is out on strikes. if you haven't seen the entire play, here's what happened in the game. Burley picks off Will Myers, and the umpire called him safe. Then Burley goes to the rubber. He's set to pitch, and once the batter steps in the box, your opportunity to ask for a challenge is over. But you can see Bob Davidson went to the review. They reversed the call on the field, and at that time, Joe Madden lodged his protest.
John Gibbons came out of that dugout asking for the replay challenge, but that's when Joe Madden stepped in right away and said, well, no, there's no way you can do that. The batter is in the box, the pitcher is on the rubber. But Bob David said, no, in my judgment, it wasn't a timely manner, so they went to the booth and they overturned the call.
Juan Francisco fouls off the first pitch. We saw the home plate umpire in yesterday's game, John Tumpane, hold up his hand and said, you can't argue this, John. I've got Escobar already in the box and it's over. And John Tumpane, now at third base today, he said that to Gibbons as he was making his way out of the dugout. 0-1 to Francisco upstairs. So I think the final determination is still in the balance, and that protest will be heard in New York, and then we'll hear how it comes out.
And I think regardless of what the decision is, one of the sides is going to be quite upset. If Joe Madden does not get this call in his favor, he's going to question why this rule at the beginning is put in place if they're not going to enforce it.
That went right through the wickets, and Navarro halfway, but saw the ball bounce right back to the catcher. Chose to stay at first. It was probably a good decision.
Curt Casale got lucky here. He did not get the glove down in between his legs to cover that 5-hole, and that glove does not get down. There's an opening, and it snuck right through. But because it hit the backstop so hard, bounced right back to him, and Diana Navarro identified that. He also identified his speed and said, I better not.
Yeah. And Casale didn't have very good technique on blocking that ball. His butt came up in the air, and that opened up a big gap in the 5-hole. That ball was squirted right through.
Biggest thing for a catcher, those knees got to get to the ground, both knees at the same time, so that then the glove can fill that 5-hole and you've got it all blocked. Interesting part of that rule again, Bob Davidson, now as you read down later in the rule, and the key part of all this is that at the bottom it is to the discretion of the umpire and his judgment. If he feels that it was timely, they can get away with it.
That's a fair ball past Loney. Navarro around second. He's headed to third. The throw will come into the cutoff man. Francisco with a bounced ball past the first baseman, ends up at second with a double. Francisco's 16th double of the season.
And clearly the plan of attack again is the breaking balls to Juan, but this one stayed up in the zone. We're talking about getting on the side of it, backed up, stayed out in the zone, and Juan got around this ball but found a hole. A little help from the artificial turf, and that dirt gets by Loney. Not a ton of speed on the bases, but there's Blue Jays at second and third.
Well, Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, is out to talk to the pitcher and the defense. You can see everybody standing on the mound. So they're giving Archer a game plan with Kawasaki at the plate and reminding the defense what they're going to try to do here. The number 9 hitter Kawasaki has a single to left in his only at bat against Archer. So Hickey comes out and clears the mind of his young pitcher, saying, here's what we're going to do. So you take the theory out of his hands and just give him the execution.
And that's really important for a Chris Archer, because if there's any chink in his armor, what that is mentally right now. He just has not been able to get to that place where he's confident with what's going on. Things happening behind him. If there's an error behind him, or he's got a couple on base in this situation right here, that's where he can lose his focus a little bit. So good job by pitching coach Jim Hickey trying to take that off of his plate, and he can focus on getting the hitter.
Archer pitching out of the stretch. Bounced right to the first baseman. Kawasaki out on one pitch. Whatever Hickey told him worked. Kawasaki, not normally aggressive early in the count, went after the first pitch.
That was very surprising. We have talked about Kawasaki, and really the success he has found offensively this season is grinding out at bats, seeing a lot of pitches. Saw last time up, he was able to hang on to that breaking ball and shoot it the other way. Very uncharacteristic of Kawasaki to jump on that first pitch from Archer.
So it's second and third, but now there are 2 outs. Tampa Bay protecting a 1-0 lead. Jose Reyes with the game winner yesterday afternoon. Oh, Casale got lucky again.
He did again. He did the same thing. He is not getting down to his knees, and as a catcher, if you don't get down to your knees, you're just going to have to get lucky trying to use that glove. And see this time again, not getting down to his knees, just trying to pick it out of the dirt. Now it's a little more difficult with a fastball from the pitcher to get down to your knees, but you've got to be in block mode right here with a runner on third base in a 1-run ball game.
As a catcher, he's already had one go through his legs. He almost had a second go through his legs. Now you're having doubts in your mind. And then you get in between. This is where you turn your glove over and you could have a pass ball go off your glove. And you can get in that little mental lapse as a catcher where you just for some reason cannot trigger and get to that good blocking position. And that's not a good feeling right now with a key situation in the ball game. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Upstairs, Reyes almost chased. The appeal down to third. Jonathan Payne says no swing. It's very difficult to block a 95-mile-per-hour fastball in the dirt, but what you do is you just have to become a goalie and do the best you can. You just cannot react that fast. But anytime you call a breaking ball, you have to anticipate that that thing is going to be in the dirt and beat the ball to the spot. Reyes batting .242 with runners in scoring position. This will fly ball to center. This should end it. Jennings makes the catch. The Blue Jays leave a pair. They still trail 1-0. And here comes the Home Hardware cleanup crew, brought to you by Natura, Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products. Cover every angle of the Toronto Blue Jays. Breaking news, photos, videos, and tweets. A one-stop shop for everything Blue Jays. The Blue Jays Rundown only on Sportsnet.ca. And the headline on the Rundown, the Blue Jays option Graybeck to AAA Buffalo. With that, they have recalled Sergio Santos and added him back to the 40-man roster. Santos last pitched for the Blue Jays July 17th. He was sent back to AAA Buffalo. And he pitched very well in AAA. He had just 6 walks and 16 strikeouts in 10 2/3 with the Blue Jays. He appeared in 24 games and had a .778 earned run average. So hopefully he is back on track, and he's part of the bullpen now. Loney is late on that fastball. Loney has gone 1 for 2 so far in the ball game. James Loney re-signed as a free agent with the Tampa Bay Rays. He signed a 3-year deal to come back. The Rays have 10 players signed to contracts through next season. A total of $48 million committed. Longoria makes the most at 11. Loney at 8.6. but they have to be very prudent with how they spend their dollars. This year's total salary is just over $76 million. Good breaking ball with a lot of depth, and Maloney strikes out Hutchison with his 6th strikeout.
Well, Drew Hutchison had his struggles in the first inning. He seemed to be really fighting his delivery and his release point. And there's a lot of things that can go into delivery, good and bad, but he seemed to figure it out. And really a telltale sign is that slider. See those fingers again. We talked about getting a good grip, but look at the late breaking action on that slider. And when you see swings like that from a hitter like James Loney, that tells you how deceptive that is.
Chopped foul at home plate. Will Myers falls behind 0-1.
Now Drew's starting to throw them first pitch. Now you come out a hitter who's seen you now your 3rd time around going first pitch slider, but he's throwing a good one like that, gets the swing. That's when it's all feeling good as a pitcher, when you're starting to feel yourself a little bit. It's a feel pitch, the slider. It has to feel right coming off the fingers, and right now Hutchison seems to be in a groove.
Comes right back with it. When it feels good, use it. Hutchison, after giving up 6 runs in the first last time out, really settled down and had a very good outing over 7 innings. And now just 1 run after that first inning. Sometimes the best lessons come from bad situations.
Well, and again, we talk about his youth. This is a young pitcher still learning to pitch at the major league level, and quite frankly still growing, still getting stronger. But these are the experiences this year that Drew is going through that are going to help him be a very good major league pitcher.
Oh, 0-2, 1 out. Nice grouping of pitches down and away. He's got Myers thinking down and away now. If you wanted to take a pop upstairs, it'd be a good time to do it. Stayed away. .95, but not close, and oftentimes pitchers will try a little bit extra, and it costs them command.
Tried to do a little too much there. He started with a few sliders, came back with 2 fastballs, but when you're really trying to rear back, sometimes you come out of your delivery, and he just pulled that ball across his body.
Myers obviously rusty with the fact that he's missed 70 games with that wrist injury. Fractured his wrist in a collision with his center fielder. It was way back on May 30th. Downstairs. You know, Escobar, he is on deck, and there's been some interesting news regarding Escobar. As according to Ken Rosenthal from Fox Sports, Escobar has been claimed on irrevocable waivers, excuse me, which means the Athletics and the Rays have until 1 p.m. Tuesday to work out a deal. So Escobar has been claimed by the Oakland Athletics, who are hard pressed to score runs lately. They picked up John Lester at the trade deadline and haven't really played well since. 10-11 since that trade.
This is a pretty good offensive team. The A's really do it all. They pitch, they score runs, but they've been in a little bit of an offensive funk. And isn't it interesting with the loss of Cespedes from that lineup?
Without Cespedes, John Donaldson has hit just 2 home runs in August. He's only driven in 8. Oakland's offense has dried up. Before the trade, they were the best in baseball, averaging 5 runs a game. Will Myers thought it was down and away. Bill Welke, the home plate umpire, calls him out on strikes. 2 down.
Save during the homeowner sale only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Drew Hutchison racking up the Ks. That's right, 7. First pitch strike. Escobar didn't agree with the call at all.
Will Myers challenged Hutchison. He threw every pitch he had, all 3 pitches, and he used them, but eventually won the battle, and that's another growing point for Hutchison, able to continue to pound the strike zone.
With the A's claiming Yunel Escobar and the fact that they might be able to work out a deal, you have to go back to that trade deadline deal with Detroit and Seattle, where Tampa Bay picked up Nick Franklin, switch hitting shortstop that's just 23 years old, and another shortstop from Detroit outside of third foul. Willie Adames, the shortstop, came with Drew Smiley from Detroit, so they got a couple of young options. Andrew Friedman is the general manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, and he and Joe Maddon are constantly figuring how they can improve the team for the long haul. Two and two.
It'll be interesting to see if this is a situation where the Rays throw Escobar out on waivers, and if he's claimed, maybe they pull him back. That's another option. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to try to work something out, or a lot of times teams will throw players out there just to see if there is interest.
We're getting awfully close to the August 31st trade deadline, and that's significant because teams that are contending for the postseason have to have the player in their organization by August 31st, enabled for them to be eligible for the postseason.
And for a team making a run, you want to make sure you get that player in your organization before the deadline.
This is popped up into shallow right. Bautista with a long run, and he's not going to make the catch. A 2-out flare base hit by Escobar. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Really interesting development as they're able to get Iwakuma out of the game, and he had been pitching so well. When you look at Boston, Iwakuma started, he lost just 2 1/3. He started with 5 earned runs on 6 hits, and he's out of the game.
Not too many teams doing that to him.
Dallin Webster is the starter for the Red Sox. So far, he has allowed 3 earned runs on 5 hits over 3 innings. Catcher Kurt Casale has struck out twice this afternoon.
There's one of those sliders that Hutchison got under the side of, and it's going to happen on occasion. You're not going to make every slider your best one. Drew's been very good in his last several innings, but that was one of those where he got on the side of it, just missed on the top of the zone.
Casale had 2 hits on Friday night. The second multi-hit game of his young career. He played baseball at Vanderbilt University, grew up in Connecticut, but went to Vanderbilt, and he caught Sonny Gray and Mike Minor at Vanderbilt, and the coach there, Tim Corbin, really does a great job of emphasizing pitching, and because of that, catching.
Pitcher-catcher relationship is so important.
Casale was drafted out of Vanderbilt as a senior by the Tigers in the 10th round. And he is filling in for the injured Ryan Hannigan, who is on rehab assignment down in the Florida State League.
And a good catcher that puts a lot of stock in his defense, takes a lot of pride in it. You really feel one in the same with the pitcher.
Ball is hit to right. Bautista hustling back on the warning track, makes a nice running catch. Casale gave it a ride, but Bautista runs it down in right. Jose Bautista, one of the best defenders in right field in the game, makes an easy play of it. in-depth analysis and expert opinion. Shy to be the MLB insider only on Sportsnet.ca. This time of the year, lots of news going across the wire. Of course, we've talked about the Yunel Escobar waiver claim by the Oakland Athletics. Possibility of him being dealt. Could be just a surveying trip by Tampa Bay, see who has interest in some of their players. I know everybody has interest in this guy, Chris Archer, but fortunately for Tampa Bay, they have him wrapped up for the long haul. Archer signed a deal in April that'll take care of him for the next 6 seasons. The deal is guaranteed $25.5 million to Archer, plus the possibility that a couple of options are exercised. It'll get up over $40 million for the term of the contract. A small market team with a limited budget, they have to really be prudent with how they spend their dollars.
When you lock up a young player like that, it can actually turn out to be a real bargain. Chris Archer could be a bargain for the Rays by the time this contract's finished.
Yes, he could be. And then you could also fall into the Rookie Romero situation where he signed for $7.5 million next year, and he's had knee problems and hasn't performed. Melky Cabrera hits one sharply to the first baseman. One down. Well, they have Archer locked up for the long haul. And when you look at the age of their young rotation, they are second in baseball to the Miami Marlins. But the difference with the Rays rotation and the rest of these other 4 rotations that are the youngest in baseball, the Rays are pitching well.
They're pitching well and they're competing. The Rays are right in it. And the other teams are not so successful. It's one thing to have a young rotation, but you want to have success, and that's what the Rays are doing. They're competing.
Jeremy Hellickson ended up with a no decision in yesterday's game. He's the graybeard of this rotation at 27 years old. Jose Bautista, he's got a chance to tie it up with one swing of the bat. The problem for the Blue Jays is that Archer doesn't give up home runs. He has allowed 6 home runs coming into this game over a course of 150 1/3 innings. That is a home run rate of 0.36 home runs per 9 innings pitched. That would be the lowest of a qualifying pitcher ever in franchise history. The previous low was Scott Kazmir in 2005. The left-hander allowed 0.58 home runs per 9 innings. Fouled off the glove of the catcher, and Bautista had a good cut.
Makes you feel like entering a ball game like this against Archer, you're going to have to find a way to create some runs, and right now the Blue Jays have not been able to do that. Couple opportunities, just not able to come up in key situations.
Jose is 0 for his last 10 with a couple of strikeouts. His last hit was a 3-run homer in Milwaukee on Wednesday afternoon. Looks like Kirk Casale might have popped a lace on that catcher's glove of his.
Sometimes that'll happen in the middle of a game. Most catchers have 2 gamers on the go, so he would go to the bench, but sometimes the catcher will be breaking in a second glove. If it's not quite ready, it sounded like he said, "Give me Josie's." So he might be borrowing Jose Molina's mitt right here.
Yeah, that's interesting, as Casale has just come up from the minor leagues. In the big leagues, guys might have 3 and 4 catcher's gloves. In the minor leagues, you can't afford that luxury.
Got one good one, and you might have to buy and back up. Just not fair, is it?
Well, you really think about it, and people would be surprised at the difference between the major leagues and the minor leagues. But in the major leagues, they throw equipment at you.
And position players are the same way, but for a catcher, your mitt is your mitt. Like, don't anybody put your hand in my mitt, because it's just so perfect to your hand, and the last thing you want is for somebody to put their hand in there and move the fingers around, take away that comfort level you have with your own mitt.
Bautista thought it was ball 4. Bill Welke rings him up. It was a slider, and Welke having a discussion. Oh, he threw him out of the game. And Bautista,
John Gibbons might be next.
Just telling Welke what he thought of that pitch and didn't seem to be very animated, but he got tossed. So Bautista has been thrown out of this game. Seemed to be awfully quick.
Well, it's a pretty good pitch, and I think Jose Bautista is just showing his frustration, and he's questioning the umpire, and it sounds like Bill Welke was going to listen a little bit, but not too much, finally ejecting him for arguing the balls and strikes.
It did look like a good pitch. It was a slider down and away, and Bautista was called out and then took exception and voiced his displeasure with the umpire and has been thrown out of this game.
And again, you talk about the frustrations Jose is experiencing right now. Excellent job by Kurt Casale, the catcher, making that ball look good to the home plate umpire, Bill Welke. It's certainly not a pitch that you can take in that situation with 2 strikes. The pitcher executed a great pitch. Jose was just hoping to get the call the other way.
See, Welke appeared to point back to the dugout, said, listen, go back to the dugout. And Bautista had one more word to say to the umpire, and that cost him.
It's a great pitch by Archer. It's a tight slider, a late breaking slider. Jose was fooled on it and unfortunately could not pull the trigger.
So there are 2 down. Adam Lind with a 2-0 count. Once again, the Blue Jays struggling to get hits. They have 4 hits against Archer. This is hit right to the second baseman, Zobrist. He was deep at second. Quick inning for Chris Archer. We've played 6. It's a 1-0 Tampa Bay lead. It's 2 walks and 7 strikeouts. Right near that 100-pitch limit. And for Hutchison, this is his 26th start of the season. So there was no sentiment in letting him stay out there and pitch the 7th inning.
Well, Drew looked a lot like the Hutchison we saw earlier in the season. Much sharper with all 3 pitches. Big thing was getting through that first inning. Just did not have a feel, but he was much better the rest of the way.
Aaron Loup will make his 60th appearance of the season as Loup starts the 7th inning. It'll be 9-1 Chew for Tampa Bay. Nolan Reimel takes over defensively in right field. Jose Bautista was ejected after a called 3rd strike. Bill Welke, the home plate umpire, threw him out of the ball game. Kiermaier goes after the first pitch and fouls it off the catcher. Navarro's had an interesting day. He's had his mask knocked off. He's fouled off a ball off his leg, and now he takes another shot off the foul tip.
Veteran umpire Bill Welke giving him a second to massage those bumps and bruises. It's a tough day. Tough day at the office right there for Deanna.
Kiermaier batting 180 against left-handed pitching. He's 9 for 50. This is going to drop right off the end of the bat, and you better hustle it in here. Nolan Reimel's throw is a good one, right on time. Reimel threw a one-hop strike as Kiermaier. We have seen this all season long, never accepting a single. And Joe Madden has come out of the Rays dugout, and Kiermaier is still at second base.
Well, it looked like Nolan Reimold was being a little casual with this too, and then he realized at the last second that it's Kiermaier and he's going, so he came up, and the big thing for Reimold is he threw a strike right on the base.
Yeah, he didn't bounce it at all, as it was a strike right to Reyes, and Kiermaier has now given up the ghost. He is out. You can see it on replay, and Joe Madden tips his cap to the crowd as he returns after that slow walk out toward the umpire. But what a throw by Reimold. Kiermaier may have injured himself as he slid hard into the legs of Reyes. Reimold picks up the outfield assist. Kiermaier has his second hit, but he's out trying to advance.
We've seen this before out of Kevin Kiermaier. This is a little blooper. It wasn't a real good swing. He was totally fooled on the pitch, but right about now he's saying, I'm going for this. He even caught Nolan Reimold off guard for a second, but as soon as Reimold remembered it was Kiermaier, he just fired a strike to Jose Reyes.
Yeah, you can see Kiermaier feeling the effects of that hard slide into second base. He banged his neck up against the right leg of Jose Reyes, taking the throw.
Those head-first slides can be an issue for both the runner and the fielder. Jose taking that helmet in the shin area.
Yeah, I just think the base runner is putting himself in position for injury. Two and one. Inside Desmond Jennings.
I think the head-first slide is an instinct play by most players. The ones that do it, they tend to do it all the time. But what I don't understand is you're not getting there any quicker than sliding feet first. Some players are just not comfortable going feet first. They're afraid they're going to get their feet tangled, but it's a dangerous play. So many things that can go wrong with that head first slide. We've seen guys dislocate fingers, wrists, shoulders, and in this case it's the head of Kevin Kiermaier in the neck.
Ben Zobrist, the switch hitter, is on deck. Full count, one out. It's a 1-0 Tampa Bay lead. Hot shot, Reyes on two hops. Two down. MLB.com at Bat is the official app for Major League Baseball. Listen to live audio, follow games pitch by pitch, and enjoy in-game video highlights. The app is available on the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Android, and BlackBerry. Season-long subscription packages are available. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. Aaron Luke gives up a base hit, but he's got two outs. Ben Zobrist takes one downstairs. Nolan Reimold threw out Kiermaier at second base. That's his first outfield assist of the season. It's the 26th outfield assist for the Blue Jays. They're 7th in the American League in that department.
Isn't it a crazy game how the ball finds you when you get inserted into the ball game? Nolan Reimold replacing Bautista, and sure enough, the first batter, he's got to come up and air one out to second base, and he was right on the money.
Zobrist fouls it into the glove of the catcher. Well, you're right. There is a thing about baseball. You put a new guy in, and sooner than not, he's going to have to make a play, and Reimold was able to deliver.
I love the play by Kiermaier, though. He knows that ball's going to bounce on the turf. He's going all the way. It took a perfect throw to get him. Nolan Reimold executed.
Two hopper to the third baseman. Francisco throws out Zobrist. An easy inning for Luke, who gives up a single. That's helped out by good defense. We'll go to the 7th. Encarnacion, Navarro, and Rasmus. Jays down by a run. Speakeasy. Only the notorious get in. Enter for your chance at SleemanSpeakeasy.ca.
Nolan Reimold entered the game in right field after Jose Bautista was ejected. Kevin Kiermaier, we've seen him do it a lot. He will challenge an outfielder. Nolan Reimold caught off guard for a second. Kiermaier going, but not to be fooled. Reimold comes up and throws a perfect strike. Very key play. Good idea by Kiermaier leading off the inning. When you're up a run, why not be aggressive? But Nolan Reimold was up to the challenge.
Well, Kiermaier got tagged out rounding third base in yesterday's game. And after the game, Joe Maddon was asking about his aggressiveness. He said, I don't want to take a thing away from him. You want to encourage guys to be aggressive. He said he's a risk taker, and you win championships with risk takers. Big part of the ball game for the Blue Jays. Encarnacion to lead things off. He takes a first pitch strike from Chris Archer. It'll be Encarnacion, Navarro, and Rasmus. 5, 6, and 7 in the Blue Jays order. Foul back over our head into the upper deck.
It'll be interesting to see as this Blue Jays lineup turns over again when Jose Bautista's spot comes up. That's going to be Nolan Reimold right now, but as a player, you want to keep that in mind. Early in the ball game, still really only the 6th inning when Jose was ejected. You've got to think about the team right there, try to control those emotions. Once that umpire says to turn around, go back to the dugout, you better follow his orders. They don't want to miss his bat. It'll be interesting to see where that lands.
And now Encarnacion upset with Wilkie's strike zone. And he'll head back to the dugout, and Gibbons can ill afford to lose another big bat. And now Wilkie said, what'd you say? You questioning my strike zone?
John will be gone soon.
Yeah, it's not going to take much. Encarnacion called out on strikes. That last pitch, according to Pitch Tracker, catching the outside corner, but Edwin argued that he felt like it was off the plate outside.
Well, it's an outstanding pitch by Archer just off that outside corner, and when you're in an 0-2 hole, you do everything you can to stay alive, but that's just a pitch that froze him at 98 miles per hour. Great job by the pitcher, great job by the catcher. Unfortunately for Edwin, that caught the outside corner.
Base hit by Deanna Navarro. That's only the 5th hit for the Blue Jays, and Navarro has 2. A one-out base hit. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. The interesting part, Jamie, of course, is all of those runs are unearned as Dayan Viciedo committed an error. And that led to 4 unearned runs. Capuano was out of the game. Esmail Rogers was into the game. Rich Hill has been picked up by the Yankees. The left-hander is into the ball game now. So the Yankees have a 4-3 lead, top 7 in New York. Colby Rasmus.
Able to do that off Chris Sale, too. The White Sox, very impressive.
1 out. Colby Rasmus has struck out twice so far this afternoon. Rasmus was 3 for 8 against Archer coming into this game. He's had some success against the right-hander.
That's the pitch right there that Colby has to take advantage of. He struck out twice on some good breaking balls from Archer. That one was left up in the zone and kind of hanging. That's the one you want to get to, but Colby swung through it.
There's a drive into right. That's going to get down. Kiermaier cuts it off. Gets it back quickly to the cutoff man. Zobrist thought about making a play at third and chose not to risk it. Boy, Kiermaier made a heck of a play. First and foremost of cutting the ball off. That kept Navarro from the possibility of scoring. But then he threw it right to the cutoff man to turn it over to Zobrist.
And that's the thing as an outfit. If you can get to the baseball and throw it quickly, that'll usually stop the running game. This looked like a hanger again, left up in the zone. Colby gets the bat head out, drills it into right field. We talked about Kevin Kiermaier before the game, and here's a guy, second start on this turf at Rogers Center. I don't know if he got a little bit lucky there playing that hot, but he was just able to get to it. As an outfielder, you spin and fire that ball in quickly, and that'll stop the running game. Zobrist had thoughts of going to third with it, but he eats it.
He unloads in a hurry and puts it in the hand of the relay man, Ben Zobrist. So Jim Hickey again is out to talk to his pitcher. A pivotal point of the ball game, obviously. Tampa Bay protecting a 1-0 lead. Hickey delivers his message. The last time he came to the mound was with runners at second and third in the fifth. And Munenori Kawasaki grounded out to the first baseman. And then he was able to get out of the inning, retiring Reyes. Francisco doubled on a breaking ball his last time up. First and third, one out. High and deep drive to right. Kiermaier back at the wall, at the trap, makes the catch. Navarro tags, and the Jays have tied it. Juan Francisco just missed hitting a home run, but he drives the right fielder right up against the wall, and it's a 1-1 game.
Chris Archer went with the breaking ball, and again out over the plate. Juan Francisco gets a good piece of it. Chris Archer is begging for this ball to stay in the ballpark, and it did, but it's going to be enough to tie the game.
Two outs. Kawasaki at the plate. Archer has only allowed 6 home runs. That looked like it had a chance to be number 7. Francisco picks up his 43rd RBI, and then we're knotted up at 1.
The last couple breaking balls from Archer have just not been quite as sharp. Colby Rasmus jumped all over that pitch and drilled it into right field, and that time Francisco, the backup slider, and stayed out over the plate, stayed down, but it's out over the plate, didn't have quite that sharpness to it. Juan's able to get the barrel to it.
2-0 to Kawasaki. Grant Balfour loosening up for the Rays. Way inside, and Archer appears to have lost it here. Reyes would be next.
We did talk about the mental state of Chris Archer. He has to stay focused in these situations, and he is nearing 100 pitches, so combination here for the Blue Jays to try to take advantage of.
Archer has thrown 100 pitches in 13 of his 25 starts. Kawasaki looks in for the walk. That's the first walk issued by Archer. And Joe Madden, you can bet he's got a close eye on Chris Archer right now. 100 pitches in a 6-0 ball game, totally different than 100 pitches in a 1-0 game.
Those are high intensity pitches, and when you start getting in jams like this, it sounds silly, but there's so much focus and energy going into a lot of these pitches. This inning for Archer, this is right about the time as a manager you're really questioning, is it time right now? Do I go to my bullpen? The issue Joe Maddon has is sometimes those middle guys in the bullpen have not been too good. So until he can get to that back end of his bullpen, he's not feeling very comfortable.
Now, Balfour worked an inning and 2/3 yesterday and allowed just 1 hit. Top of the order. Reyes lays off that first pitch. It was upstairs. Blue Jays have 2 hits and a walk this inning. Francisco with the sac fly to right has tied it up. Much better breaking ball there from Archer.
Talk about the slider from Hutchison, much like Archer. It's hard to throw the best one all the time. And for pitchers, when you don't have that good one this inning, Archer's been hurt by it.
Two and one. Reyes had the game-winning hit yesterday afternoon. Came true in the 10th. There's that magic number so many teams lean on now. 100 pitches. Reyes has gotten better and better as the season has gone on. You'll remember that he injured himself in the first game of the season in his first at-bat and went on the DL.
And this has been the story for Jose in his career. He seems to get better as the season progresses. I spoke to him about that even after the All-Star break, talking about those days of rest, which were much needed for Jose. But he said he's always been like that. He just continues to feel better as the season goes on.
And he's not a big man. You would think that the rigors of playing every day at shortstop would wear on him, but his numbers don't suggest that's a concern at all. Reyes strikes out. The Blue Jays strand a pair. But the Jays have tied it up. They scored a run on 2 hits and a walk. Francisco with the sac fly. It's a 1-1 game. We're headed to the 8th. Blue Jays. Aaron Sanchez and Marcus Stroman will sign autographs tomorrow at 12 to 1 at the new Jays shop store, Toronto Eaton Center. It's on level 1. So if you'd like a chance to say hello to Marcus Stroman and Aaron Sanchez, come on out to the Toronto Eaton Center and stop by the new Jays shop store. It's on level 1, and you have a chance to meet Marcus Stroman and Aaron Sanchez. It all starts at noon tomorrow. They'll be signing autographs for an hour. Well, Aaron Loup was the pitcher. There was a pinch hitter announced for Matt Joyce. Loup is out of the game. Blue Jays to go to the bullpen. Dustin McGowan in. Scheduled batter Logan Forsythe was announced as pinch hitter. With that, John Gibbons counted that vote by bringing in the right-hander.
McGowan pitching to a 4.03 ERA, working in his 45th game. 8 of those were starts earlier in the season before that experiment ended. Won that 5th spot in the rotation at the end of spring training, but John Gibbons put him in the bullpen, and he has found a home down there since joining that bullpen. Opponents hitting just 189. McGowan pitching to a 2.86 ERA. His 44 games are season new career high for him, passing his previous high of 27.
1-1 ball game. Fans, a reminder, you can get unlimited access to over 100 of the world's best magazines on your tablet with Next Issue. Baseball fans, sign up at nextissue.ca/baseball and get an extended 60-day free trial. Another good ball game on hand here. Logan Forsythe was the starter yesterday. He started at second base against Mark Burley. He ended up that game 1 for 4. He comes on as pinch hitter batting for Matt Joyce. He goes after the first pitch and hits it high in the air. Melky Cabrera gives way to Colby Erasmus, who runs it down a strand under the warning track.
Logan Forsythe entering the game as a pitch hitter. A lot of guys come off the bench. They're looking for that first pitch fastball. That's exactly what he got. Both Cabrera and Colby coming in on that ball. The center fielder takes charge. Nice job by Rasmus.
Rasmus was shaded on the right field side of second base, so he had a long run but ran it down. Evan Longoria is 0 for 3. He has the only RBI for Tampa Bay. Home run cut, fouls it straight back. 97. Boy, McGowan has really found a home in the bullpen.
He sure has, and I think it's been a place where he can come out and really let it go a little bit. I think he was really holding back a little bit as a starter, trying to stay strong through 5, 6, 7 innings. But this way he can utilize that good arm that he has, thrown in the upper 90s.
Blue Jays won 5-4 yesterday afternoon in 10 innings. They lost the opener 8-0 on Friday night. Same pitch, same spot, same result. Longoria swings right through it.
This fastball will be in the upper 90s there, 95 to 97. Slider and changeup, and we'll see now if after that elevated fastball, Dion Navarro opts to go back to the slider.
Another fastball, and Longoria strikes out.
And most importantly, a well-located fastball. That one only at 93 miles per hour, but you can locate at 93, and you can see him get behind. That's a 4-seam fastball going across the seams, but look at the location. Navarro setting up away, and he essentially hit the glove.
Longoria 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. He'll turn things over to James Loney. Loney had a pitch hit RBI double in last night's game and tied it up in the ninth.
Well, Dustin McGowan has had some troubles coming out of that bullpen and finding the strike zone. He was fighting it a little bit last time out, but you watch the pitches he's thrown this inning. He just appears to be locked in with all three. That was a changeup first pitch right there to Loney.
It's a sinking fastball that Loney fouls on. McGowan ahead 0-2. This is what you want from a reliever. Come in and don't give him much information.
Well, especially with a power arm like Dustin's. That's a 97-mile-per-hour sinker right there, down and away on Loney. You're not going to do much with that pitch, but now ahead 0-2. It's so important to get ahead as a reliever because now he can do whatever he wants. He can come in with the fastball. He can elevate a fastball. Looks like that's what he's going to do. You see Navarro puts the one down and says, bring it up. Get it up there for me.
He got it up, and Loney pulled it foul.
It's important to change the plane, the eye level of the hitter. Work down in the zone, but then go back up. And now it's also important to change the speeds. Fastball is around 95 to 97, but then mix in that slider or changeup. As a pitcher, you want to make sure, as a catcher calling the game, move the ball in and out, back and forth by changing speeds, and also up and down by changing the eye level. McGowan's doing just that.
What good movement there. Loney's able just to get a piece of it.
That was a changeup at 91.
Loney's now 31 years old. He started out in the Dodgers system. He was a #1 pick in 2002. Spent 7 years with the Dodgers, and he was part of that big trade August of 2012 between Boston and LA. Dustin McGowan ahead 1-2. Loney batting with 2 outs. We're in the 8th. It's a 1-1 game. I wouldn't chase. Late movement on that changeup. It is hard, but it comes out of his hand and looks like a fastball.
Both good pitches. That's where you want to miss as a pitcher. When you're ahead 0-2, he went with the 0-2 changeup. The call from Navarro in the dirt, came back with it 1-2. Down also, like going back to the fastball.
Loney was cheating to get to that ball, and all he could do was hook it foul.
I think Loney is looking fastball right there. You can't necessarily look for a pitch with 2 strikes, but you can look for the fastball and adjust to the off speed. That's the only way you can get the bat head out to a 96-mile-per-hour fastball on the inner half, is really trying to cheat and get it up front.
Another good changeup, and Loney strikes up. Couple of strikeouts in the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It's a 1-1 game. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zorn. play Sunday, August 31st, when the Blue Jays take on the New York Yankees. It's a 107 start. First 20,000 fans into Rogers Center will receive a Blue Jays long sleeve baseball shirt. Call the Jays at 416-341-1234 or log online at bluejays.com and order your tickets for the Blue Jays long sleeve baseball shirt giveaway Sunday, August 31st. Jake McGee, the closer, is into pitch here in the 8th. It is all about where they are in the Blue Jays lineup. It is Cabrera and then Nolan Rimo, who took over for Bautista and Adam Lincoln.
McGee pitches in his 62nd game of the year, 1.37 ERA. He's got 14 saves. This is not a save situation, but he's been outstanding for Joe Madden. 13 walks and 77 strikeouts in his 59 innings of work. 55 of his 61 appearances this season have been scoreless. Ranks among American relief leaders in the American League in appearances with those 61. He is used a lot.
Ben Zobrist started out at second. He moves to left field with Logan Forsythe hitting for Matt Joyce. Forsythe takes over at second base. That's another thing. Joe Madden has so many options when he makes a move. He can put Zobrist anywhere he wants to on the field, and he will be a very good defender. So 2, 3, and 4. Remember, Bautista was ejected in the 6th inning by home plate umpire Bill Work. You know what you're going to get with Jake McGee. He's bringing the heat.
Bringing it, averaging 95, 96 miles per hour with the fastball and curveball.
Fly ball to right. Kiermaier makes the play. So both starters are out of the game. Drew Hutchison for the Blue Jays. Chris Archer goes 7 innings, gives them 6 hits, an earned run. It was a sac fly off the bat of Juan Francisco in the 7th that tied the game. He walked 1, struck out 6 through 102 pitches. Another good start for Chris Archer.
He was outstanding today, and it was the matchup that we had anticipated. Drew Hutchison stepped up as well, but Archer was just very good with his fastball command. Just the one walk with the slider and the changeup, the mix of his pitches, that secondary stuff, really complement that high-octane fastball.
Nolan Rimo took over defensively in the top of the 7th. He made a strong throw to throw out Kevin Kiermaier at second base. Tap, swing, chopper up the first base line. Shovel to first in time, and Rimo is out. 2 quick outs for McGee here in the 8th. This is exactly what Joe Madden was thinking about with McGee, bringing him in with Melky Cabrera starting the inning. See if he can't get the closer to put up the 0 and give the Rays a chance to bat in a tie game in the top of the 9th.
Jake McGee's not trying to trick anybody. He's saying, here's my fastball, hit it if you can. He's throwing that pitch almost all the time. Very few curveballs, and he'll be 95, 96 miles per hour with it.
Lind has faced McGee 11 times. He's 3 for 11. That's a .273 batting average. 97 on the corner.
Kirk Casale doesn't mind playing goalie, but he doesn't really want to do it when the ball's coming 97.
Lind 069 against lefty pitching this season compared to 359 against the right-handers. He gets jammed and hits the ground ball. Forsythe just into the game. Stays with it and makes the play. Bang, bang at first. Lind is out on the grounder, 4-3. McGee retires the side in order. We'll go to the 9th. It's a 1-1 game. Casey Jansen coming into the ball game. And now John Gibbons has come out of Blue Jays dugout, and he looks like he's asking for a review. We have no definitive sign of that. He and Bill Welke, the home plate umpire, talking it over at home plate. This gets back into the timely manner. Is this timely? Doesn't appear to be, and Gibbons looks like he's going to give it up. Casey Jansen into the game to pitch tonight. to face Will Myers. It'll be Myers, Escobar, and Casale. Myers has struck out twice today. He is 0 for 3. Tampa Bay tied it up at 4 in the 9th inning with a run off Casey Jansen. James Loney with the RBI double. Jansen's ahead 1-2 to the leadoff man here in the 9th. Two balls and 2 strikes for Casey Jansen. This is his 5th appearance against Tampa Bay this season. Just a total of 4 innings. Last 12 games, he's been hit around a bit. Of course, he came out of the All-Star break. He was sick over the All-Star break and lost significant weight. Took him a while to get his stamina back. And he's a command and control guy, and his command was off coming out of the All-Star break. Former Blue Jay Yunel Escobar is on deck. Escobar has gone 1 for 3 this afternoon. Little flare into right field. That's going to get down in front of Reimel as Myers has a leadoff single here in the 9th. Myers had a leadoff walk against Jansen in yesterday's game, and he came around to score the tying run.
Pitch catches a little bit too much plate. You see it backing up. Navarro has to bring that glove back over the plate. Talk about Casey being a command guy, and he just really has not been the same. We saw that over the All-Star break with his illness. When he came back, it's one thing to get your strength back, but he just has not been able to get that sharpness back. He lives on the edges with all of his pitches. When he's very good, he's just painting both sides of the plate.
Yunel Escobar showing bunt. Takes it down and away. Swinging away, there's a base hit for Escobar. Myers thought about going to third. Mielke hustles it back in. Well, Escobar might have shown bunt on his own just to get Casey Jansen thinking about the sacrifice, and he got a fastball and he didn't miss it. So now it's 1st and 2nd, back-to-back hits to start the inning. Pete Walker's gone to the mound. John Gibbons checking with Bob Stanley in the bullpen, and Brett Cecil is up and throwing. Boy, if this doesn't scream for sacrifice bunt, I've never seen one. Curt Casale 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He's the catcher. Escobar and Myers both singling off of Jansen to start the inning.
And this is where the bunt defense now is going to be very important. Both corner guys, Adam Lind at first and Juan Francisco, will be reading the bunt. Lind will be coming in. Casey will be coming straight in to field the bunt. For Juan Francisco at third, it'll be a read play. Usually just play like a number 1 player, a regular bunt defense. Second baseman Kawasaki will rotate over, cover first base. Reyes is going to have to hold the runner on at second base, keep him tight. For Francisco, it's a read. If the bunt goes to him, he's just going to come and get it, get the out at first base. If it's not to him, he can retreat to the bag and perhaps get that force out at third.
They're crashing on the corners. Casale squares to bunt. He bunts it to Lind. He will have to go to first, and Casale picks up his 2nd sacrifice hit of the season. So that moves the runners along.
It's an outstanding bunt by Casale, and the reason it's such a good bunt is because he deadened the ball enough. If he bunts that ball hard to Adam Lind, Lind can come up and get that play at third because Francisco's retreating, but he deadens it enough. No play at third. The Jays' only out is at first base, and that's the most important thing on a bunt play, is make sure you get an out somewhere. Tremendous technique right there. Look at the bad angle that Casale created. Didn't change the angle. Dropped that bunt down, deadened it by getting it towards the end of the bat. The Blue Jays have the situation they want by getting the out, but now John Gibbons is going to make a move.
Well, Gibbons has come out of the pen. He's got Brett Cecil coming in, the left-hander, with Kiermaier, the batter. Casey Janssen, back-to-back singles, then the sacrifice bunt. He turns things over to Brett Cecil. Casey Janssen started the ninth inning, gave up singles to Myers and Escobar. Then the sacrifice bunt occurred to Casale. Kevin Kiermaier was the scheduled batter, so John Gibbons goes to the bullpen for the left-hander to match up against Kiermaier, and Brett Cecil, making his 52nd appearance, actually has reverse splits when you look at the right-hander, left-hander matchups.
And he'll face a right-hander in Brandon Guyer, right? He's only hitting .217 against him. Brett Cecil has 54 strikeouts in his 41 innings of work, and he can really use one right here. We'll see what the approach is here for Joe Madden to maybe try something here.
Second and third, one out. It's a 1-1 game. Brandon Guyer started and batted third in yesterday's game. He went 0 for 3 playing in left field. So Madden has the matchup I think he wanted. He's got Guyer at the plate, a right-handed hitter. He is 3 for 17 as a pinch hitter. Takes one downstairs. Well, you're right, Joe. Brett Cecil has the ability to strike out hitters. He needs a strikeout right here.
Guyer has success against left-handers. Cecil has success against right-handed batters, so it's quite a matchup. John Gibbons may have gotten the matchup he wanted. Joe Madden may have gotten the one he wanted. One of them is going to win out.
There's that curveball that's always so good for Cecil. But Guyer wouldn't chase. And then Guyer is 0 for 3 against Brett Cecil. Very limited sampling for sure. Cecil is the fourth reliever to work. Drew Hutchinson started and went 6.
The curveball is a more swing and miss pitch, strikeout type pitch. We'll see if he maybe runs a fastball in.
Boy, he drops that curveball in there, and it's a good one.
Even the first two that he threw, they're both good curveballs. They're looking for a swing on a guy on at least one of those, but he was able to hold up. That time he came back with another one. And with these 3 pitches, to me, dictate how this at-bat's going to go. Deano Navarro is going to keep calling curveballs.
This is the matchup that Madden wanted. You can see Guyer hitting .329 against lefty pitching. 2-1. Another curveball. Boy, he is taking some tough curveballs, not even offering at him.
And that's where your only fear now as a catcher calling a game. If you continue to call the same pitch, the same speed, the more you do that against a good hitter, you're eventually going to get hurt, because good hitters see the same, they track the same pitch. That's 4 in a row.
Boy, they were all good pitches, right in a tough spot down and in.
If Brett Cecil could execute his 92, 93-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside part of the plate right here, I think he's got him, but I'm not sure that Keanu Navarro is going to go to that in this situation. He's clearly shown that he's going with the curveball. Sequence of pitches with the runner on second base.
There's the fastball. He crossed them up. Geyer looking for the hook. Good job by you, Joe, and a good job by Navarro.
When you lull a hitter to sleep with those curveballs, all those consecutive curveballs, a hitter tracks that. Their brain tracks those pitches and the off speed of those pitches. This fastball probably looked 100 miles an hour because of all the slow curveballs. Tremendous pitch sequence. The curveballs were all in very good locations. Cecil came right out of the bullpen snapping that thing off. It pays off with that final pitch sneaking the fastball by him.
Desmond Jennings, the leadoff man, has gone 1 for 4 this afternoon.
Now, everybody in the ballpark, everybody watching on TV should know that Brett Cecil will throw an 0-2 curveball right here. And the reason is he just threw 2 of them. And Desmond Jennings has not looked good. So as a catcher, when a hitter does not look good, clearly didn't pick up that curveball, I'm throwing another one right here and trying to bounce it just like that last pitch.
Changeup missed away. Cecil for the season has allowed 10 of 33 inherited base runners to score. 30%. Got a chance to strand 2 right here. Slapped foul. He's looking for that breaking ball.
He's looking for the breaking ball, but at the same time, my thinking, if I'm behind the plate based on the previous 2 swings that we saw in the breaking ball, I'm coming back with it. That time, that was just a self-defense emergency 911 hack, just trying to stay alive right there by Jennings, but I've got to come back to the curveball here.
Tie game. There it is. Did he check? Yes, he did, according to the first base umpire, James Hoy. He buried that breaking ball in the dirt exactly where he wanted to throw it, but Jennings was able to check. Menzovis, the switch hitter, is on deck. Would you throw the curveball again?
Absolutely. I threw 2 more, and even if you walk them, so what? I've got to throw 2 more curveballs. Jennings has not proven to me that he's seeing it very well at all.
Big strikeout for Cecil. Brett Cecil comes in with runners at second and third and strikes out a pair. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. Jays have a chance to win it. strikes. Experience the thrill at your local Acura dealer.
The Blue Jays had a couple opportunities to score off Chris Archer today, but Juan Francisco gets this breaking ball out over the plate. Just misses leaving the ballpark, but it's deep enough to score Diano Navarro and tie this ball game with that sacrifice fly. And now the Blue Jays have a shot to try to win this thing in walk-off fashion yet again.
Jays had their 7th walk-off yesterday, a 10th inning walk-off single by Jose Reyes. Francisco picked up the RBI to tie it. The Rays scored in the first. The Blue Jays score in the 7th. It's a 1-1 game for Francisco. His 43rd RBI. Jake McGee came into the game in the 8th inning and retired the side in order. Encarnacion looking for that fastball and had a good rip. Edwin against McGee, just 1 for 5. 27 home runs, and Edwin missed over a month of the season with that quad injury. He is 6th in the American League in home runs. This is popped out of play. We're in a tie game. For those of you turning in for the GoPro Grand Prix of Sonoma, it's on now on Sportsnet 1, and it'll follow this ball game right here on all the Sportsnet channels. So IndyCar Series on Sportsnet 1 right now as they're about ready to start that race. 1-2 to Edwin Encarnacion. Upstairs at 97, McGee's first strikeout of the afternoon. Well, he's developed into a fine relief pitcher, and he was a starter throughout his minor league career. And then once they got him to the big leagues, they put him right in the pen.
Look at that angle. He's got his hand right behind the baseball, but he's just got an electric arm. Edwin knows a fastball's coming. It's just hard to lay off that one. It's elevated, but it's at 96 to 98 miles per hour. And as I said, there's no mincing anything. He's just coming right at you saying, here's my fastball, hit it if you can. And not a lot of people have been able to do it.
McGee has worked 59 innings coming into this game, and he has not allowed a home run.
He reminds me a little of Sean Doolittle from the A's, where he's a hard-throwing lefty as well, and high percentage of fastballs. Just saying, here it is.
Matt Thornton certainly would fit that profile as well. Janner Navarro, another good day at the plate. He's 2 for 3. He scored the Blue Jays run in the 7th. Sergio Santos just back from AAA Buffalo, starting to loosen up. Three and one.
Sometimes less is more in this situation. When you're facing a hard thrower like McGee, you want to just stay short to the baseball and try to put it in play.
This is popped out of play. Another good fastball. He comes right at you. There's no question about that.
As a hitter, you try to do too much in a big situation like this. Diano trying to get an extra base hit, get in scoring position right here, but sometimes you're doing more harm than good. You get a little big on your swing, and you definitely don't want to do that. Somebody throwing with this kind of velocity.
McGee has walked 13 and struck out 78. This is popped up behind home plate. Casale back. He's got room, and Navarro is retired. 2 down. Well, we talk all the time about lefty-lefty matchups, and when you look at Colby Rasmus, look at his numbers against lefties this season, it's really interesting in that Rasmus for the season has a 177 average. But against Jake McGee, he's 3 for 7 with a home run. So how do you figure that?
Well, McGee's splits are like that too. Lefties are having a little more success, so maybe lefties are looking dead red fastball and just teeing off.
Colby has hit 3 home runs against lefty pitching this season. He gets jammed on that pitch. He has homered against Dallas Keuchel of the Astros, Cole Hamels of the Phillies, and Will Smith of the Brewers. 3 of his 16 home runs coming against lefties like McGee. Is foul into the seats. The Blue Jays have had 3 walk-off wins in their last 4 home games, including yesterday's 5-4 win in extra inning. Reyes with the game winner. Off the glove, Casale. And it clank off his glove. He kind of reacted as if he thought Rasmus might have swung at that.
Wondered at first if Rasmus got a piece of that, but Colby didn't react. Sometimes as a catcher, you're not sure if it's a check swing, so you better retrieve the baseball in a hurry. Casale did the right thing, but swing not called by Bill Welke.
Rasmus putting up a fight.
If there's a good matchup for Jake McGee, Colby is that. He's a fastball hitter. He knows he's getting fastballs. I doubt McGee at this point is going to go to the curveball. We haven't seen one yet. If he does miss out over the plate, there's a chance for a celebration here, but McGee hasn't missed the spots too many times.
He threw that one right past the catcher and hit on the umpire's shoulder, 99 miles an hour, and Casale couldn't flag it down. And Bill Welke says, hey, you want to knock those down a little bit once in a while?
Bill Welke is telling Casale, why don't you set up in the middle of the plate here, because Casale's setting up away in that situation. When a pitcher's throwing 99 miles per hour and misses on the other side of the plate, sometimes it's difficult to get there. And he was not able to get the mid up there. Up more shoulder of Welke.
97 for the strikeout. McGee retires all 6 batters he's faced. Once again, we're going to go to extra innings. It's a 1-1 game after 9. Jays talk after the game on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Certainly a lot to talk about in this ball game. It's a 1-1 game as we head to the 10th inning. Blue Jays are 4-3 in extra innings, including a win yesterday in 10. Tampa Bay in extra innings, they're 5-8. And on the road, they are 3-5. Sergio Santos back with the big club. He has not pitched in a game with the Jays since July 17th.
Well, Sergio just back with the club from Buffalo, and he did a nice job down there, worked out some kinks. 11 games with the Bisons, just 3 hits, no earned runs over 10 2/3 innings. And I think the issues we saw with Sergio earlier in the season, he would get in trouble. He'd walk 17 batters in 19 2/3 innings. He's got the ability to strike hitters out too, that devastating slider, but when he does not have his secondary pitches, it takes the effectiveness away from that good fastball.
Brett Cecil did a terrific job. He came in with runners at second and third and got 2 strikeouts to strand those base runners. Ben Zobrist, he's got 1 for 3 with a walk. Zobrist scored the run for Tampa Bay way back in the first. Scored on a fielder's choice off the bat of Evan Longoria. Santos falls behind. Sergio Santos in his 3rd season with the Blue Jays. This is his 60th game pitching for the Jays. There's a strike. Zobrist had a leadoff single against Dustin McGowan in the 10th yesterday afternoon, but he was stranded on base. It's bounced in the dirt. It's 3-1.
Santos will average around 92, 93 miles per hour with that fastball, but he has to work ahead of hitters, and this has been his issue falling behind coming out of the bullpen.
Zobrist goes after that fastball and lifts it into the seats. Zobrist is 3 for 6 against Santos in their head-to-head matchups. Logan Forsythe entered the game as a pinch hitter in the 8th and flied out to center. The Rays have scored 1 run on 9 hits. The Blue Jays have scored their run on 6 hits. Tampa Bay has stranded 9. The Blue Jays have left 6 aboard. This is the rubber game of this 3-game series. A breaking ball, and Zobrist has walked. Leadoff man aboard. Nobody out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Both pitchers in that game got off to a good start. They took no hitters into the middle part of that ball game. Miguel Gonzalez has allowed 2 runs on 5 hits. Wada, that home run. He has 8 strikeouts. He is now out of the game. There goes the runner, and the ball is bunted foul. They were playing bunt and run right there, and Tampa Bay's got every play in the book. They have a play for every occasion.
Joe Maddon not afraid to roll the dice a little bit, putting the runner in motion while Forsythe is getting the bunt down. That situation here for Santos is he's got to throw strikes just like that right there in this situation. At least here he gets ahead of the hitters, and this is the problem Sergio's had earlier in the season with the Blue Jays. You fall behind hitters, you've got to come back with a fastball, and you give them good pitches to hit.
Yeah, you become very predictable.
Yeah, and then you fall in love with the slider, though, and you can't throw it for strikes consistently. So that's the fight he's had.
Zobrist not running here. Forsythe late on that fastball.
And that swing right there tells a lot, because Sergio's able to get ahead 0-1 on that foul ball. That fastball looked like it just beat Forsythe in that situation, whereas if it's a 1-0 pitch, maybe not so much.
0-2. Laid off that borderline pitch just a bit upstairs. Zobrist doesn't run a lot, but he picks his spots very well. He has 9 stolen bases. 9 for 13. He got a bigger lead now. Santos sensed that and chases him back.
Good job by Sergio right there. You have to at least acknowledge that, and just by throwing over, it keeps that runner on first base on his toes now, knowing he can't just time you and get a real good jump.
Pitch inside as Forsythe's able to foul it off.
Santos got ahead with the 2 fastballs, and now he's come back with 2 sliders. Still ahead. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. See what Deano Navarro's thinking. I'm sure he's looking for a ground ball, which would be the fastball, probably on their inner half.
All right, tough pitch. Santos not getting anything. Those borderline pitches not being called, and of course the Blue Jays will argue they've had those borderline pitches called against them all afternoon.
Well, it's a good pitch by Santos. Great location at the bottom of the zone, and a nice job by Navarro receiving that pitch. Gave Milwaukee a pretty good look. Bill just didn't see what we saw.
2-2. Zobrist at first, nobody out. There he goes. Ball is driven into right. Reimold over near the foul line. Missed the ball. Absolutely missed the ball, and it bounces out of play for a ground rule double. Zobrist will end up at third base. Reimold came into the game as a defensive replacement in the 7th after Bautista was ejected, arguing they called third strike with Bill Welke. And Reimold came over and looked like he was battling that sun and reached up for it, and he just missed it.
Well, he was all over there. Now, as an outfielder, you want to make sure you're running gingerly on those feet. If you're stomping your feet, landing on your heels a bit, your head will bob up and down, and that ball will really bounce on you. So it's either a combination of that or perhaps still fighting that sun. He's got his sunglasses on. That doesn't always cure everything, but as an outfielder, you want to make sure you're running smoothly so that ball doesn't bounce on you. It looked like that may have happened. He just went for it and whiffed.
So Reimold in right now. He had an assist when he threw out Kiermaier trying to advance to second. Now second and third, nobody out. Evan Longoria has gone 0 for 4. It's a double for Forsythe. It's a little looper down the right side. It's going to drift into foul ground. As we mentioned, Nolan Reimold entered the game in the 7th inning as a defensive replacement. Bautista was in an argument with Bill Welke, the home plate umpire, and he was ejected by Welke in the 6th. So Reimold came in defensively. He made a great throw to throw out Kevin Kiermaier in that top half of the 7th inning. Kiermaier trying to stretch a single into a double. One and two.
When Jose Bautista gets ejected from the ball game, the first thing you think of is losing his bat out of the lineup. Wouldn't think so much outfield, but it turns out that his defense in right field turns out to be missed as well.
1-2 to Longoria. Fastball, base hit to left. Zobrist is in to score. They're waving around Forsythe. Here's the throw to the plate. It's a good one. And Navarro takes the short hop, and Forsythe is out. Another good throw by Melky Cabrera. And Joe Madden is out to argue the play at the plate. And he has asked the home plate umpire, Bill Welke, to review the play at the plate. Zobrist scores the go-ahead run. Forsythe is out 7-2, and the play at the plate is under review. Longoria drives in his second run of the afternoon to give Tampa Bay a 2-1 lead.
Longoria tees off on this pitch, puts it right between Francisco and Reyes. Third base coach Tom Foley's waving him home all the way. Melky makes a perfect throw. A nice stop, picking that ball out of the dirt on the short hop by Diano Navarro. But let's look at the positioning of Navarro, the catcher. Is he giving a path to the runner before he has the baseball in his possession? I think perhaps maybe not. This will be interesting.
Well, this is the new aspect of the rule where the catcher has to give the base runner a path to home plate. And Navarro may have gotten spiked in that collision. Melky Cabrera credited with his 11th outfield assist. He had an outfield assist in the game yesterday when he caught Kevin Kiermaier rounding the bag in the 9th inning. This is a crew chief review of the violation of the home plate rule of catchers giving the base runner a path to home. Well, we've had our share of reviews and protests and every other kind of thing in this series.
Well, this is that rule 7.13. Unless he possesses the ball, a catcher cannot block the path of a runner attempting to score. In such cases, the runner will be declared safe. The only exception of that, of course, is when the catcher may block the path in the runner in order to field a throw, but this was not the case. The throw is right on line. You have to give that path to home plate for the runner. If Diano Navarro does not have the ball in his possession in blocking that path, now he certainly has it as he catches the ball applying the tag, but it's going to go look back before the ball enters the glove of Navarro, which is right now. He is not giving a path to the runner. And I think the Blue Jays could be in trouble here.
But I could argue that Navarro had to go to that knee because it was a short hop throw and it took him into the path of the base runner.
And those are the issues that create such a problem with this rule. And I think when they thought of this rule and drew it all up, they didn't think of all of those little nuances that can happen in fractions of seconds on plays at home plate.
Now, I think they should take a little whiteout and just white out that whole rule.
Go back to the way it used to be.
Yeah, let's go back to the do-over and say, you know what, that's not a good idea. I think it takes away so many aspects of the game, especially the bang-bang play at home plate. Catchers are taught how to take position. The umpires have their decision now, and they're calling him out. They uphold the call at the home plate, and obviously Joe Maddon's not going to be pleased with that. So Melky Cabrera does throw out Logan Forsythe at the plate to cut down the second run. Longoria ends up at second base on the throw. Tampa Bay has taken a 2-1 lead. Still, there's just one out. You would believe with base open, well, they're going to pitch to Loney here. Well, Myers is on deck. He's a right-handed man.
And I think you're exactly right, Buck. The ball was just into the line, into the runner a bit, that Navarro had to move to go get it. So that's why he got away with blocking that path to the runner. And it's a good thing that they took that into consideration.
Now it's 2-0. Santos walked the leadoff man in this inning, and that has been his problem all season long. bring him into a tie game in the 10th, and Zobrist worked him for the leadoff walk, and he eventually comes around to score on the base hit by Longoria. Two balls and a strike to James Loney. Strike two. Todd Redmond starting to loosen up for the Blue Jays. We had mentioned at the top of the show how the Blue Jays have not fared well in rubber games of 3-game series. Over the last 5 seasons, they have a 33-48 record. This year, in the decisive game of a 3-game series, they've gone 5-10. Loney chases the pitch upstairs and strikes out.
This was not an ideal pitch by Santos. You can see that slider grip, but that's not the slider he tried to throw right there. It's about as bad as it gets. That one hanging at the top of the zone, and I think it was such a bad slider that Loney was fooled by it. Sometimes that can happen to a hitter.
The backup slider can be effective if you know when you're going to throw it. 2 outs now. Will Myers has got 1 for 4. Hacking at that first pitch. Myers is all about swinging. He goes into that batter's box with an aggressive mindset. There goes the runner. He had a running start, and Longoria steals third easily. Santos focused on the batter. Longoria picks up his 5th steal in 5 attempts.
Good job by Will Myers here. He knows he's got the bag stolen. He'll say, just walk there. Now, unfortunately for Myers, he had to take a strike right there, so now he's down 0-2. And he saw the jump Longoria got. He wanted to give him the bag.
Another backup slider. This one missed up and in. Well, by Longoria moving to third, now he gets himself into scoring position for a wild pitch, ball in the dirt, anything that gets away from the catcher.
Some people will feel that a runner is no better off at third than second because you're in scoring position and you'll score in a base hit. While you're 90 feet closer to home, an error you score, a ball that gets away from the catcher you score. There's a lot more ways to score when you're 90 feet away.
Strike 3 at the first base umpire. James Hoy rings up Myers for the swing. Myers strikes out for a 3rd time, but Tampa Bay, taking advantage of the leadoff walk, has taken a 2-1 lead in the 10th. IndyCar Series, the GoPro Grand Prix of Sonoma, on 3 channels. Actually, all 4 channels, Pacific as well. And if you want to see that race right now, it's on Sportsnet 1. It has just gotten underway. But it'll be coming up on all 4 channels right after this ball game. New pitcher into the game is Brad Boxberger. And Boxberger, he had a difficult outing yesterday as he came in, didn't record an out, gave up a double, a 2-run home run, and a double, and he was out of the ball game.
Boxberger blew that save yesterday, allowing a career-high 3 extra base hits to 3 batters that he faced. That was including the 2-run homer to Deandre Navarro. He ranked 2nd among American relievers and 5th in the majors. 14.24 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Well, Joe Madden not wasting an opportunity to get Boxberger right back up on the horse. He had really dominated left-handed hitters until yesterday when Navarro hit the 2-run home run and Colby Rasmus had a double. Juan Francisco had the sac fly in the 7th. That tied the game at 1-1. Boxberger, as we mentioned, didn't record an out and gave up 3 extra base hits, but he has had a terrific season for Tampa Bay. Little chopper gets past the pitcher. Francisco's got a chance to reach, and now he's going to go to second. He ends up at second base. The leadoff man reaches here in the bottom of the 10th. Boy, once it got past the pitcher, you knew that was going to be trouble.
Speed kills. Juan Francisco just nubbed this ball down the first base line. Once that ball gets past Boxberger, it's much like a drag bunt that a speedy hitter would do. It makes a tough play, but you can see how deep second baseman is playing. He comes in bare hands and tries to fire it. When you're playing with that shift on Francisco, he's shallow right center field there. Forsythe coming in, just fires this right past Loney.
Steve Tollefson has entered the game as a pinch runner. Loney didn't have much of a chance. It really wasn't that bad of a throw, but he's only about 15 feet away from the first baseman.
And he knew he had to hurry, so when you know you have to hurry, you've got to come up and fire that thing over there quickly. Well, it's not a lot of fun having a ball fired at you from close range, and that's what exactly happened to Loney. He got handcuffed.
So Tollefson's at second. He represents the tying run. Kawasaki squares to bunt and takes a ball. Kawasaki is on the leaderboard in the American League in sacrifice bunts. He has 7. Brett Gardner of the Yankees leads with 11. This time he bunts it foul and he went after a ball. They give the air on that last play to the first baseman. It really wasn't a bad throw, but it handcuffed Loney. He didn't know where the ball was coming from. But Loney is charged with the air. That's his 6th error of the season.
That's a tough error when somebody's firing a ball at you from close range.
Francisco, his 2nd hit of the day. Kawasaki squares again and pops it in the air. And it's on the ground safely, and everybody's safe. Tollefson had to hold up. And he really couldn't tell where that ball was. Boxberger came off the mound. Tollefson was blocked out. He couldn't see where the ball was, but it hit, and then the pitcher bobbled it. All hands are safe.
This is not exactly how you draw it up, but the Blue Jays have gotten a couple of breaks right here. Now they've got runners out the corner with nobody out. Kawasaki's got to get this ball on the ground because he pops it up. Look at the runner on second. He's got to freeze. Finally realizes that the ball drops, so now he can advance. And, of course, Boxberger just makes this off-balance throw. He got away with one right here. If this ball's caught, you've got an out with that runner on second base, and things are very different this inning. But 2 kind of breaks here for the Blue Jays. They need to take advantage of this.
Joe Madden comes out now to talk firsthand to the defense. Kawasaki credited with a base hit. Madden with a pat on the chest to Boxberger. Tollefson moves to 3rd. Kawasaki, his 2nd hit of the afternoon. He's 2 for 3. So Madden delivering the message to the defense and a little encouragement to Boxberger. Boxberger's faced 5 Blue Jays in this series and hasn't recorded an out. He's given up 5 consecutive hits.
Catcher Kurt Casale is going to get it signed from the bench now. This is the first and third defense of the double steal. If Kawasaki tries to steal second base right here, what are they going to do? They may throw through, or he may just pump fake and eat it to watch that runner on third. The Rays, of course, don't want the tying run to score, but they also don't want the winning run to advance.
Reyes won it yesterday. Flares this one over near the seats. Longoria makes the catch. Evan Longoria gets the ball back to the pitcher to keep Kawasaki at first. Longoria missed a pop-up earlier in this series when he got twisted around. This time he makes a terrific play.
And he was not slowing down. He knows the importance of this out right here. He probably would have jumped into the third row for this thing, but outstanding play. He's running full speed. The ball was not hit very high, so he didn't have a whole lot of time. His full momentum took him right into that little wall, but nice play by Evan Longoria.
That's the first out of the bottom of the 10th. The tying runs at third. The rally caps are out. The winning run is at first. Melky Cabrera 0 for 4 so far. Little pop behind second. So that's Forsythe, and he makes the catch. And Thomason has to hold his ground. Looked like an off-speed pitch from Boxberger.
Boxberger has certainly made some key pitches here with the game on the line, getting Reyes first. There's a changeup, and then it looked like another off-speed pitch here to Melky, catching him out front. And remember, we talked about earlier Jose Bautista's ejection, and if his spot in the order may perhaps come up at a big time, Nolan Reimold steps to the plate for the Blue Jays.
Reimold batting for a second time. He faced Jake McGee with 1 out in the 8th and tapped back to the pitcher. Blue Jays down to their final out. They trail 2-1. Blue Jays got the first 2 on base with a couple of singles. Ball and a strike.
Boxberger's pretty well a 2-pitch pitcher. His fastball averaged 93 miles per hour with the changeup, and he's used that changeup very effectively this inning to get 2 key outs.
Fouled off at home. Where the Blue Jays got the leadoff man to second on an infield hit and an error. Paulson came in as a pinch runner. He moved to third on a bunt base hit by Kawasaki. But now there are 2 outs. Off the glove of Casale. He's had some problems behind the plate today.
That's a big situation for a catcher, too. You want to make sure you're squeezing everything, but also blocking everything. Boxberger will throw the changeup, and we'll see if that's what Reimold gets in this situation. But he's got to keep everything in front of that tying run on third base.
2-2. Cut on and missed, and Reimold strikes out. The Rays win it. The Blue Jays can't win the series as they lose the rubber game here. Evan Longoria with both RBIs, 1 in the first and 1 in the 10th.
Well, it was a tremendous pitchers duel today. Chris Archer and Drew Hutchison were both outstanding. A great ball game. The Rays get up early. The Blue Jays were able to pick one up, but Sergio Santos in his return from Buffalo walking the leadoff batter. You just cannot do that and get away with it.
Tampa Bay wins it 2-1. A couple of extra inning games. Stay tuned on all 4 channels. It's IndyCar Series. Go Pro Grand Prix from Sonoma. We'll see you tomorrow night. The Red Sox are in town.